guilty of crime.
And we're back. And I even came on a few minutes early. Welcome to Guilty of Crime. I am Jay, and you guys know the drill. Come on in, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, get a membership if you can. And y'all can thank Wes and company, the dogs, for me starting early. All right, they've got me trained. The dog said it's time to eat, and I want to go lay in the office now, Mom. Guys, you wouldn't even, I wish I had cameras around my desk where you can see the dogs, because I literally have a dog bed under my feet and two on the sides. And the three dogs, it doesn't matter where I am and how many people are in the house, they got to come by my feet or by my head and lay down. So just imagine we're here with Wes and Bowie, and we got the little pieces is running around with Mama Bear. But what's up, everyone? Good to see you. Thank you for coming. Today is going to be a crazy one. Arrest is finally coming in the David case. Explosive court documents in the Celeste Rivas death revealed. And guys, it's gruesome. So I got to tell you, mad trigger warning today. If you think that you've been triggered in the past, well, today is going to be really triggering, because we now know that Celeste Rivas was not only decapitated and dismembered, but it's confirmed now that she was dismembered, and they don't even want to call it dismembered. They call it all chopped up. All right. They're now confirming in the there's a 151 page document that talks about them removing the cadaver bag from the front storage of the Tesla, or frunk. And it was discovered just to have arms and legs in one, and then other parts from the severed body. So arms and legs had been severed from the body, and a second black bag was discovered underneath the cadaver bag. On the opening of the second bag had dismembered body parts even more, and they wouldn't even call it dismembered. It was so badly chopped up and such a terrible job. They wouldn't say, oh, well, this, somebody has, maybe it's somebody that works in the nursing field or is a doctor, or nope. This is absolutely someone that just hacked Celeste Rivas up with no care, or they cared about the job they did and they were really enjoying it. So today we're going to talk about the documents, the arrest coming, and speculation on Aysia. And not only that, I also found a thread called coincidences in this case. And you know how I am with coincidences in true crime. They don't exist. So I'm going to show you some just wild things that'll make you go, what? And then obviously it won't be used as evidence in the in court. However, there's plenty of documentation and evidence, I believe, in my opinion, to get a conviction from this David character that just used and abused a little girl. And guys, they're not even charging him with SA. She was a minor. He groomed her, and then he took her life, chopped her up, and we don't even know where all of her body parts are. So say a prayer that justice happens for Celeste Rivas. David hurries up and gets arrested, and anyone else that has talked lets law enforcement know what happened. All right, Mama Say, thank you so much for starting us off with that 299 super sticker, and Kristen Perry for being a member for 11 months. Thank you. Kathy says, click that like if you like the topic, or even if you don't like the topic, if you like the way that I present true crime, hit that like button. You know the drill. My girl MM Clara is back. Good to see you. I hope you're feeling good. I know life gets busy, right? It's crazy. Crazy. Good to see you, my friend. No way the investigation went this far without him. And well, that's the thing, Bren. So the way I put this episode together, you're going to see not only are we upset by this, but we've got Private Eye Fisher that is coming out with SF Investigates. Steve Fisher has come out with so much information, and he is pissed that there has not been an arrest or anybody in custody thus far. But listen, the last time I talked to y'all, I told you that Neo Langston had been arrested. They brought him in custody. I believe that he's absolutely going to flip. And in between then and now, they've also brought David's parents into custody where the parents don't want to go. Yes, lady for justice, you know the deal. That is going to happen, by the way. And I believe 151 page document that I was reading says they're making them. They don't have ifs, ands, and buts, but they're trying to fight it and put all these motions. There's a lot of legal jargon involved in this case. So, that being said, buckle up, buckle in, grab your drink, blanket, whatever you need. We're going to be here for a while. Good to see you. There's new pictures that just came out. And just because the pictures are new, they're older pictures, but I think it identifies a little bit better with what was going on behind the scenes and what could have possibly caused the death of Celeste Rivas Hernandez, who, by the way, parents, in my opinion, should absolutely be held accountable. I'm on YouTube seeing these parents of like school shooters and things start to be held accountable. And you have people like Jen Soto that didn't protect her daughter. Not only didn't protect her, but handed her to a monster. Same with Celeste Rivas. Her parents knew where she was and they sent her back and they sent her back until finally she never came back. All right. So, Holly, thank you so much for the 99-cent super sticker and getting our goal kicked off. You guys, there's a goal up there if you want to help contribute toward it. Or I've also got the Buy Me a Coffee that is for the Las Vegas 2026 Crime Convention Fund. I'm going to leave that there until we go to Crime Con. All right. And that is in May 29th through the 31st. We're also going to have a proper Guilty of Crime party. So a lot to look forward to, guys. Come on in. We came in a little early, so I know people are just coming up and coming in. How y'all doing? Good to see you, Holly. Velvet Unicorn. Kel, always a pleasure. Carly, you're here. You made it. All right. What's going on, everybody? You guys are ready, aren't you? I see that. Lady Justice, how you doing? All right, guys. Let's just get into it then. Let me just start with the just full-on breaking news about this situation so you know where we are in the case. And then I've got new pictures, documents, new old pictures, and Steve Fisher's pissed. We're also going to see what Aysia has to say and also some of the coincidences in the case that are, you can't call them a coincidence, really. And I wonder how they're going to be used against David. Let's go.
The death of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas is now being considered a murder. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Annabelle Sedano. You may remember Rivas's body was found inside the front trunk of a Tesla owned by pop singer David. NBC4 Investigates just obtained some newly unsealed documents. Our investigative reporter, Eric.
And those unsealed documents are brutal. Also, guys, I had no idea that a frunk or the front trunk of a Tesla was so small. And not because my friends don't have Teslas, but I just never put anything in there. But in the speculation photos, there's a picture coincidentally of one of David's friends sitting in the front trunk of a Tesla. And when you see how small that area is, it give you a better idea of why she was cut up so much and why they couldn't even fit the whole body in the trunk, because there isn't a lot of space. Arizona, hello. My girl Tiff, hello. Jen's a gypsy. How you doing? Roll on in, everybody. All right, justice is coming. I'm telling you, the grand jury probed people and they're not backing down. Now, David's parents were trying to fight against it, what have you, but when grand jury probes you, when grand jury calls you, when they subpoena you, you'll get arrested if you don't comply. Although I don't know how much David's parents might know. We'll see.
Leonard first broke the story back in September. He's been reading through those court documents and joins us live with what we know about the murder so far. Eric, and there's some shocking things in that filing.
Certainly unsettling. And it was a court hearing in Texas that has given us insight into this case that we ordinarily would never see here in Southern California. And that's because the investigation is still wrapped up in a secret grand jury investigation into the teen's death. These documents out of Texas say it is a murder case, that the pop singer is the target or suspect, and that the girl's remains were found in a horrific state. Grand juries.
And you remember we were talking about that previously, whether the body was preserved in a freezer or a fridge or frozen. Guys, it had to have been preserved somewhere, whether it was frozen or not. I don't think it matters at this point, but I do got to tell you, at the point of the body parts being in the front of the vehicle, and for even the amount of time that the car was parked there, those body parts decompose quite a bit faster, which will tend to happen if you go buy like a piece of meat and you freeze it, right? And then you let it unfreeze, you let it just defrost in the sun. It's going to start turning brown, and all these other weird things happen to it from the rapid cold and then it cooling down. All right. What's up, Pastor Perfect Pam? Kathy, thank you so much for the Guilty of Crime membership. Please drop your link to your channel so people can also sub up to you. All right. I mean, this is there's a lot today, guys, and I hope you're ready for it.
Subpoenas and documents that were filed in Texas show LA County prosecutors are investigating the death of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez as a murder. Those documents say David, whose legal name is David Burke, is the target of that murder case. Rivas Hernandez's remains were found in September when the Tesla registered to Burke was impounded. These new court records say Rivas Hernandez was found dismembered in the front trunk of the car, her remains in 2 different bags. Rivas Hernandez was last seen alive in 2024, and our law enforcement sources have told NBC4 Investigates they believe she died sometime in the spring of 2025. And again, the reason this became public now is because Burke's mother, father, and brother filed a legal challenge to those subpoenas for their testimony and tried unsuccessfully to get a judge in Texas to block the
I mean, do you hear what's happening? I'm sure law enforcement has a track or is keeping an eye on David in order to get out. Now, I had never heard of David before this, and he's only 20 years old, guys. He never even, when you pick it up or put it down, when you're putting or picking up, you're putting it down. Now, listen, this guy never produced music or did anything until he was on YouTube playing games, and he wanted to incorporate music into his games, and he was getting struck. So he decided to make his own music so he can incorporate it into his game. So he went in the closet, his sister's closet, made some music on his phone, and ta-da, we've got this guy that can afford how much a month? $20,000 a month mansion to fly anywhere, do anything. That's scary when you give a kid like this. And when you see the pictures today show you that this 20-year-old is him and Celeste and all of his friends, Aysia and Neo, they're all doing drugs. I mean, it's right on the table. The writing's on the wall. You see their lines railed up, their alcohol. I mean, they were doing it. All right. And that's a possibility that Celeste overdosed, and then David tries to live out his fantasy of chopping somebody up. And you're going to see, because when you see some of these pictures that came from him of girls with missing arms, Hello Kitty without an arm, that's exactly what he did to Celeste. What's up, Shorty Pie? Good to see you. Different to album, song order, and music video timeline. David, YouTube drama. All right. Good to see. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Some people know he was playing Fortnite at whatever that is, video games to me. He was playing video games and he decided to make his own music, and hence David is born. All right. All right. Money is the root of all evil. I 110% agree. What's up, Edith? Good to see you. Money and fame, ISIS. Yeah, I don't think he was ready for that fame. He is very creepy and he likes little girls on top of it. So had he not been, just thrown a ton of money at that age, who knows what would have happened. All right, let's continue.
Enforcement of the LA County court order. So the LA County grand jury investigation has been something of an open secret around LA, with various witnesses being brought in to testify about the death. But this is the first time we've seen in black and white court filings that her death is considered a murder and that Burke, known as David, is the named suspect. Someone we believe to be his defense lawyer has not returned any of our calls. Reporting live, I'm investigative reporter Eric Leonard, NBC4 News. Back to
All right, so you can see, and then we got the Guthries coming up on there. That case is going somewhere, I hope, today. I don't know, but let's let me put this up real quick. Where did it go? Oh, yeah, let's start with this. Celeste Rivas case, David named grand jury's target as new court documents reveal dismemberment details, which we didn't have before. We did want to have the toxicology and the autopsy report, but that's sealed for right now. But as of now, David is the target of the Celeste Rivas Hernandez murder. The newly unsealed court documents, which we'll go through a little bit of them, reveal the details on her death and her dismemberment and how the remains were found in the Tesla in the way that law enforcement wrote it up. Now, the newly unsealed court documents will reveal that the victim's head and torso were discovered in one of the cadaver bags, while her limbs were found in a second bag beneath that, according to the court documents. Now, if you saw my cover today, I've got David on the front holding black trash bags. Essentially, they were black cadaver bags. Now, why do you have cadaver bags for? Oh, for your props. Okay. Cadaver bags, head and torso in one of them, while her limbs were found in the second one, stacked on top of each other in the Tesla trunk. Now, David Burke, or David, D4vd, is officially named as a target of a grand jury investigation, while his family and associates face subpoenas and potential arrests for non-compliance. Now, we did think that I thought, and I speculated last time, that the uncooperative witness was Aysia, his best friend or ex-girlfriend, but now we know it's Neo. It's not her. We don't know if she's incorporated into those documents, but she is possibly talking. So we're going to go over that as well. We talked about Aysia last time and possibly being a second suspect as a person in the love triangle. So again, if you saw my cover today, take a look at it. He's holding a black trash bag. We've got Celeste everywhere, pictures, and a stand-in Celeste that looks really similar. And we want this guy to be arrested. Let's see the perp walk and get him out of the public, get him away from his planes and his jets and his drugs and all of his luxuries. Time for justice. You got that right, lady, for justice. It's been far too long. And the only reason is because he's got money. That is the only reason that a guy like this would not be already arrested with as much evidence as they have. Yes, I agree. The whole crew creeps me out. The whole crew creeps me out. All right, let's continue. Let's continue. All right, so what we know, in case you've never even heard of this case, guys, court documents which were unsealed via motion by a Texas court. Remember, that's where David is right now. He went back to his parents' house. He was staying in the Hollywood Hills or in that Los Angeles area in the mansion, but then he went to Texas. Luckily, he's going to be brought back to California if he's not and tried here. Had he been, had they tried him in Texas, he probably would get the death penalty there. All right. So identified now, it says he may be involved in the death of, and some reports say 15-year-old victim, Celeste Rivas, and some say 14. So we're not quite sure about that. You might see it flip-flop. All right. Now, Lake Eleanor is down south in the LA area. Rivas Hernandez, Celeste's body was discovered on September 8th of 2025 inside the Tesla that was registered to David. Now, the car had been towed to a police lot after being abandoned near the Hollywood Homes Hill that David was renting for $20,000 a month. And workers at the impound lot had called the police due to a foul odor emanating from the car, which had been there for several days, by the way. And I want you guys to realize that Steve Fisher has seen the video and he knows exactly who was driving the Tesla. Now, Steve Fisher is a private eye and he's been doing his due diligence. We're going to see him in a bit, but he knows who drove that car, who parked it, who walked away from it. Was there one person? Were there two people? Listen, guys, whoever was driving that car that left it there for the ultimate tow company to pick it up with the body in it has got to be subpoenaed, has got to be a suspect. Total Avid, bro fam, what's up? Good to see you. All right, let's continue. It's great to have you back. Alexa's talking to me and I have no idea why. All right. The filings which state Celeste Rivas Hernandez may have been a victim of foul play also revealed disturbing new details of how authorities discovered her heavily decomposed remains. Now, according to the documents, officers found two separate cadaver bags, like I told you earlier, in the front storage compartment. One of those bags was covered with insects containing the decomposed head and torso. So they've got a head in one bag with the torso, and I'll read it to you after this, covered in bugs, maybe maggots, all the things that dead bodies, flies. And then the second bag containing her arms and her legs. Now, I don't know where the rest of her body is, but officers described her body as severely decomposed and said that the strong smell of decay was attracting flies to the car. So the Department of Transportation marked that vehicle, issued a citation before impounding it, and the filings, it stated that. Now, David was on tour at the time the car was impounded. He was literally on tour when the news came out, and he did not stop the tour, and neither did his manager. They kept going until forced to do so. Now, the grand jury in Los Angeles has labeled David Burke a target of this investigation. All right, previous coverage of all that, we're going to get into that timeline. It's not very clear. We're not completely clear on the timeline, and if she was 14, if she was 15, but what we do have is the what the grand jury is investigating and going to ultimately charge him for, in my opinion, is one count of murder. Now, nothing's formal yet, and discussions have been, why is he not being charged with SA? Why is it not CSAM for him having a relationship with the child? Well, because they don't have enough evidence that they don't have enough evidence that they were more than just friends, and for how long. What's up, Nanny Sharon? Good to see you. How you doing, everybody? Welcome in. Yeah, this is crazy. I mean, what's up, Deb? Good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Arrow in the garden. All right, let me run through this real quick. So listen, guys, we're going back to April of 2024. Rivas Hernandez, or Celeste, is reported missing from Lake Eleanor, where her family resides. April 2024. Now, fast forward to September 5th of 2025, and David's Tesla is towed to the impound yard. Then, 3 days later, police discover Celeste's remains in the vehicle's front trunk. All right. Not even 9 days later, September 17th, 2025, detectives with the LAPD Robbery Homicide Division serve a search warrant on David's $20,000 a month home that he was renting, not far from where the Tesla was parked, where they found the several bags of evidence that were also seized from the home. Now, 2 days later, on September 19th, David cancels the remainder of his Withered World Tour. And then 5 days later, on September 24th, Celeste's body is released back to her family. The same day, movers are seen hauling boxes and other items from the home and moving it into a truck. Now, the homeowner confirmed with TMZ that David's manager, Josh Marshall, had informed him that they would be breaking the lease and moving out by the end of the week. So then now we're at January 2026, and this was my last coverage of this. Neo Langston, or his little BFF gay boyfriend, was arrested for failing to appear as a witness against David. He's released. Now we go to February, just last month. A Texas judge denies the request from David's father, and his name is Dawood. I'm not sure how to say it. It's Dawud, Burke, to squash a subpoena for his testimony. Okay, so David's father did not want to testify, and they put a motion, and the judge said no. Now, where we are today, we're March 3rd, 2026, and the grand jury probe has formally extended to Burke's family and friends. His father, Dawood Burke, was called to testify earlier this month, and additionally, 23-year-old streamer Neo Langston, a friend and artist of David, was arrested last month after dodging the mandated appearances. But we know he's appeared. They released him. He got out on bond, and now we move forward to today. And I'm going to read you this document real quick. Again, trigger warning. There's a lot going on in here. All right. We need justice for Celeste Rivas. How's everybody doing today? Good to see you. Okay. Thank you, B-Fly. There's a lot of people that have just watched every detail of this, and I appreciate chiming in on the timeline. She was found a day after her 15th birthday. All right. Celeste went to his mom's house in Texas too, and I'm sure she did. I'm sure she was everywhere with him anytime she could. They would hide their relationship, but it was hidden in plain sight, so to speak. All right. Now I'm gonna pull these up. I have a 151 page document, but I'm just gonna pull this one up because, well, we don't need all those pages. I read them and I said, pretty boring. So I pulled this document, and this one said, let me make sure you guys can see it. I'm gonna make it bigger just in case you've got a big TV on. David's 20. All right. Now, Nathan Hockman's the district attorney, and Beth Silverman, deputy district attorney. This is the people of the state of California. I live in California. The people of California versus David Burke, aka D4vd. All right. Grand jury investigation. We got the case number and then the petition for the witnesses, etc. All right. So here we got there is pending the Superior Court of County of Los Angeles above grand jury investigation by the state of California against target David Burke. All right. He's the target, wherein target may be involved in having committed the following criminal offenses against the law of the state of California. 1, count of murder in violation of the Penal Code, Section 187. All right. And then we move to number 2, and the grand jury investigation is currently pending at the Los Angeles Superior Court. All right. Grand jury investigation has already resumed on February 4th. DeWitt Burke, his father's attendance would have been required on February 11th, 2026. Now, as far as long thereafter until he wasn't needed, but for no more than 3 days. Now, it's alleged that in the case that the target, which is David, may be involved in the death of, and on this, they name her as dying death of 14-year-old victim Celeste Rivas Hernandez, who may, they say, have been a victim of foul play. Her severely decomposed, dismembered body was found in the front trunk of the target's Tesla on September 8th, 2025. Then we moved to September 8th at approximately 10:30 in the morning. Los Angeles Police Department received a phone call from the manager of the Hollywood area official police garage, where the manager stated a black Tesla Model X has been impounded as an abandoned vehicle by the Department of Transportation on September 5th. Now, the manager told police there was a strong smell of decay coming from the vehicle, which was attracting flies. All right. LAPD then responded to Hollywood Tow to investigate, and detectives approached the vehicle, which was parked on the upper deck of the impound lot, and immediately noticed of a smell of decay, biological material consistent with a decomposing corpse coming from the front storage compartment. Now, if you guys are ever been in law enforcement or been around a cadaver or any of that stuff, they say you'll never get that smell out of your head. All right. Christine says, thank you for the coverage. You do amazing in your mods. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I know. I knew you guys would say that. I knew it. All right. Now listen. But what they do have is the compartment was open and detectives observed a black cadaver bag with insects and a strong odor of decay. Now, utilizing black latex gloves, detectives partially unzipped the bag and observed a decomposed head and torso. And you heard that right. They opened the first bag and there was just a head and a torso that was severely decomposed with a strong odor of decay. Now, investigators and criminalists from the Los Angeles County Department, the medical examiner, responded to the tow yard to process the decomposed body. That is that of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Now, upon removing the cadaver bag from the front storage compartment, it was discovered that the arms and legs had been severed from the whole part of the body. And in the second bag, they discovered underneath that cadaver bag, upon opening the second bag, the dismembered body parts were discovered. Now, that's not even her whole body. There's pieces that are missing, and they did a really chop up job. All right. Now, I do have the documents, but I pulled these ones from the Reddit feed. There's a lot of stuff here if you guys want to, kind of know what's going on before it hits media. There's a lot of people, and we're going to look at some of the speculation. But, cadaver bag had insects, strong odor. We know we found Celeste's head and torso. Her body was severely decomposed. We don't hear anything about frozen or any of that, but we know there are two bags, one with head and torso and one with arms and legs. All right. Severed. Now, the remains were physically separated into parts at some point prior to the discovery of the body and cut apart by force. All right. We don't know how they were severed or what tools were used, but based on the definition of severed and in reading the documents, it seems like they were ripped off. All right. I just want to tell you that. All right. And right now, what we don't know if the head was dismembered and how if the second bag was a cadaver bag, how the body parts were severed. We don't know about post-mortem of her death. We don't even know the cause of death. We don't know who parked the Tesla, but Steve Fisher does, which leads me to believe that law enforcement does. Now, what degree of murder David could be facing? Right now, it's just one count, no additional accomplices named. And if there are additional accomplices, or are they people that are witnesses? Now, he's only facing one count of the big M, Whether tools were used or not, I'm sure they were. And if she had clothes on or not, we don't know. All right. So, again, there's a lot of information out there right now that, whoa, it's wild. We're going to get into. I'm going to show you guys some new images that just came out. So let's take a look at that. Thanks for coming on in, guys. I'm on X with SF Investigates, and there's some really good images in here to give you an idea of what Celeste went through. All right, Mab, good to see you, buddy. Joanne, how you doing? I'm glad everybody's cool. Yeah, there's not. Mama Sage, they are not charging him with SA or CSAM at this time due to the lack of evidence regarding that. Now, Master Death, Hancock said Google 2 weeks in a Tesla trunk, say be soup, look dead over 4 months. I agree. I'm sure. All right, what's up, Krista? It's always good to see you, and I love seeing you in green. It looks good on you. What's up, Sander? How you doing? All right, guys, let's take a look at some of this stuff that Steve Fisher has out there. Now, David, he says, now this was on February 25th. He posted, hey, David, were you sitting on this hill next to a drainage gully thinking about what you did to her? Were you thinking about how it looked and sounded when you sawed her body into pieces? Hashtag Celeste Rivas. Now look, and you'll even see, well, you'll see his little tiny foot, by the way. He looks like he's a manlet with that little tiny foot and his little tiny self. And we know how feminine, which I have no problem. But in my opinion, he's a smurderer, right? Her cell phone's missing. Maybe they can get a cell phone company. Oh, I'm sure they've got all of that. And they're working on it. Otherwise, the secret grand jury wouldn't be happening. All right. Yeah, they ripped it off. They ripped her body parts. It wasn't like a clean slice where somebody knows what they're doing and has severed body parts before. Because trust me, that is a factor into a case like this. What's up, Melinda and Grace? Kirk, how you doing? All right, let's take a look at these pictures. It's disturbing to think about what he was thinking about and what he's doing, taking a picture of himself holding knife over a cliff after her death. And then you look here and he's got cuts. It's kind of hard to see, but you can see like cuts or blood on his hand right there. And I'm sure these pictures are being analyzed. All right. So he loves his knife and his little pictures. I feel like there's duper's delight going on in this case, like mad duper's delight, guys. All right. He is hiding in plain sight and he knows what he did, in my opinion. And he's looking at all of us like, y'all are idiots. It's all out there. What are you doing? Patricia, good to see you. You just got here. Perfect timing. Allie Callie, how you doing? All right, let's take a look at some of the other things that we have here on X. It's to go along with this, I'm going to tell you, because SF Investigates has been covering this case since the beginning and giving us the information that we need. So we're going to hear about how infuriated he is. It is infuriating that we're approaching 6 months and no charges have been filed in her murder. Now, this is February 25th, and technically he is a target of the investigation and the only suspect and only target. But if the evidence hasn't been secured by now, what is happening? And is this a blown investigation? What we now know, guys, is these monsters, and I'm going to tell you, there's got to be more than one, in my opinion. These monsters, they sawed off Celeste's arms and legs. Let's not call it dismemberment, okay? The word sounds clinical, like a surgeon removed the limbs. And that's what I was trying to tell you. Had that happened, law enforcement say, it might be someone in the medical field. Maybe they were in the Navy or the, no. She was ripped apart, guys. No clinical kind of way at all. Just a vicious, sick group of people brutally attacked her arms and her legs off of her body and separated them. Now, was she alive when they started? And yes, I'm using plural terms because, and I'm reading SF Investigates. in my professional opinion, there's no way one person did this alone, whether participating directly or acting as an accessory. Yet, only one individual is named as a target in the court filings. Like you, Neo, Christopher Langston, you knew. I've seen family members publicly defend him and threaten lawsuits against everyone who names him. Sue me. I beg you. Please sue me. Now, this is from SF Investigates. He says, give me subpoena power. Give me the power of discovery, because that may be the only way the truth will come out. I beg of you, file the defamation suit. How do people like David, Neo, and Aysia live with themselves? And you got to remember, guys, these are the targets that we're talking about today. All right. PI should know there's not his timeline of what just to take. Yeah. He's been on boots on the ground and he's seen a lot more than we have. Yes, a hatched job. We don't know about any. I don't know if he's been homeschooled or anything, but let's continue. So 6 months, guys. You got to remember they found her in, what did I say? September, October, November, December, January, February, March. All right. No charges. No press conference, but LAPD and the DA office did issue a press release stating that the medical examiner's autopsy and investigative findings sealed so that detectives can review them first, claiming it was not meant to undermine the transparency. They got that information, yet the records remain sealed. The press release misled the public. The press release was a lie. And this is from SF Investigates. He says another press release suggested the only potential criminal culpability might be concealment of a body. They said knowing Celeste's arms and legs had been sawed off, you came out with a press release knowing what had been done to her. And if they do not have enough evidence to charge those responsible, then they need to say that plainly. Admit that after nearly 6 months, the investigation has not produced sufficient evidence to charge David, Anthony Burke, or anyone else who participated or was an accessory. Admit it, a blown investigation. Admit that important evidence was left behind after the search warrant. Admit the critical surveillance was lost because no one followed up to obtain it. All right. And that's what Steve Fisher is thinking. He's following this, and I'm gonna get into this. Jay, in your opinion, why do you think he allegedly did this? I think he has a dark side to him, and I think I haven't got there yet, Ali Callie, but I think, like I said in the beginning, I think there's a possibility of an overdose or a love triangle gone bad. And David's sick mind, he wanted to do that. There's people out there that just simply are attracted to death. And they tell law enforcement, I wanted to try it. I wanted to feel how powerful it would be to take somebody's life. And when we get into the speculation today, you'll see what I mean. All right. Zulike, I don't even know how to say Zool. If a chopped up body was found in my car, I'm pretty sure I'd be in the slammer. Same here. I don't think they'd let me go. All right. Okay. So now we're threatened to contempt as SF Investigates, saying he's going to continue at this. Come at him. Do your sworn duty and admit that you failed. Now he's balking at LAPD and the DA's office. He's mad. Right now, here's the full 151-page court filing. In this case, I'm not going to go through that. I went through it earlier. And I mean, the big reveal is, it's not much. It just talks about the parents being called in and not coming, etc. All right. Now, Waller County, Texas compelled David's parents and brother to travel to Los Angeles to appear before the grand jury on February 11th. That decision was appealed, and a habeas corpus was then filed on the 3rd, which was denied. It appears that those people have appeared before the grand jury, most likely invoking the 5th. So remember that. They probably went and didn't say a thing, but that's only speculation on his part. All right. You can see the court ordered Mr. Burke, which is his father, to appear before California grand jury on February 11th. A writ of habeas corpus was filed on the 3rd. The writ challenged the ex parte nature of proceeding, deprivation of due process, incorrect application, and incorrect finding of Mr. Burke's testimony was material and necessary. And the court, it says, denied, I think, the right of on the meritus. So anyway, they made them. That's what they did. Legal jargon. That's what happened. Court transcripts will show that detectives from LAPD robbery were in Texas to escort David's parents to LA to testify about what they knew about the suspicion that their son had the big M word and dismembered a 14-year-old girl, Celeste Rivas Hernandez. So if you guys are interested in reading these 151-page documents yourself, feel free to hop on to X and go on to SF Investigates. I can certainly upload that tomorrow. But I mean, there's a lot in here. And yeah, I mean, basically all of this is everything that went down, and then everything else is sealed. So let me do this, though. I need to point you at these new pictures that came out to give you an idea, a little bit better idea of the lifestyle that they were living. All right. So I'm going to show you these pictures and then we'll continue. I want you, I'm going to open this bigger because I want you to see that in this one image that most likely was taken by Celeste Rivas Hernandez is the one taking the photo. And there's lines of whatever drugs that they're snorting. I can't tell you. It looks like a white powder in lines. I don't know if they were snorting cocaine or being mathematicians or snorting pills, but they were doing drugs. All right. That's a really pretty first name. Never heard of it. Which one? Aysia? Icon Academy. Y'all are having your own talks down here. I can't read and remember. Okay, so I want you guys to take a look at this picture down here. If you have a bigger screen, zoom in. They've got something chopped up down here and set into a pile ready to go. And this is speculating that Celeste was taking a picture on the other side. All right. Now, David's taking a photo, and there you go. There's Celeste Rivas right there in the back with all of this stuff here. We've got the, and this comes from 2024, obviously, when she was still alive. All right. So this is the same table that they got alcohol and probably weed and this little 14-year-old girl is over there hanging out with the big boys, getting messed up. Now, do any of you think that it's a possibility now that she overdosed or something and then they decided to just chop her up? I mean, is it a full moon, guys? Is it a full moon? All right, let's continue. I mean, these pictures, guys. Whew. Pictures say 1,000 words. That one says 2,000 words right there. All right. She's with the big boys, 14 years old, smoking and drinking and snorting and doing. All right. And who knows what else. All right. So there's a better, clearer picture. You can see they put down something, smashed it up, threw it down. I wish I could see whose phone that is, but there she is in that same batch of pictures. There's the little 14-year-old that David was, in my opinion, he was graping her. He was grooming her. She was only 14 years old, not old enough to decide to be having actual encounters with David and possibly even Aishya and Neo. Who knows what they were doing, right? All right, you guys, let's continue. That picture is haunting to me. Who knows how long after her life was taken. All right. It's very haunting. And when you see this picture and you see that she was surrounded by DRUGs, right? Who knows? Did she overdo it? Did they overdo giving it to her? And she passed away, and this guy decided to, hey, I'm just going to cut her up because I've been wanting to do that. All right. Now, this was on December 31st. Guys, this is right after Christmas of 2024. All right. Instead of her being home, she was with David around 10 p.m. Several people were at David's house. Now, this is 6 days after Christmas. Although Celeste is not clearly visible, we can see her in that photo. I don't know why she says that, but we believe she was present. The iPhone had previously been pictured which appears to match the phone and case seen on the table, along with the Hello Kitty mug. Another photo, which appears to have been taken by David, shows what likely are Celeste's fingers on a bottle, right? The phone that is likely Celeste appears to be on the Wi-Fi setting screen and connected to the Wi-Fi network. So, guys, I'm sure they've gone through her phone, and they're saying that the address remains fixed for a specific network, right? So they track that. Hopefully, law enforcement investigators have reviewed all the router logs to determine exactly when Celeste's phone and everyone else's phone were connected to the home's Wi-Fi network, because we don't even know exactly when she died. All right. For example, if individuals in the photos, including the photos and many others, claim they did not see Celeste or were not at the house, yet the router logs show the phone was connected, well, that's going to raise serious suspicions, all right? Especially if you're getting asked about that in front of a grand jury and they pull up this picture and you're like, oh, damn. Right now, we cannot forget about Celeste or the justice that she deserves. It's been more than 5 months, now 6, and no charges have officially been filed. Remember, we're going back a little here, but David is the target now. And these pictures just came out on February 11th. They were released, which is the same day the grand jury was talking to the family. So I'm assuming that they used these pictures and then they got released. Again, he says Celeste isn't in them, but I'm not sure what he means, because you can clearly see her in this one. And I thought this was her, but that could be one of her stand-ins. There's a ton of little girls that run around looking like Celeste, and it's really weird. It's really, really weird. All right, let's give me a break for just a second on reading. I'm going to come back to some speculation and other things after this, but I want you to see what Private Eye is saying and what's happening and why nothing has happened.
All right. So as I mentioned, we got some breaking news tonight in another case. This is the case against the pop star David Anthony Burke, better known as David, spelled with a 4. Again, this is a massive story. We've been following it. It is huge online right now. Ton of interest. The singer has been in the spotlight ever since the body of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez was allegedly discovered in the trunk of this Tesla, or his Tesla. And the pair were supposedly in a relationship, although that wasn't confirmed by authorities.
It's not confirmed by authorities, because then people are going to say, why didn't you charge him in the CSAM? And you know what I'm saying? Flojo TV, thank you so much for the $4.99 super sticker. If you want to drop your link to your channel in chat, it's all good. Go ahead. The mods can drop it. All people, all true crime people and people that have channels are welcome. Come over. There's no threat, baby. We're just stronger together. Right, Flojo TV? Right. All right, Jody Lynn. Thanks, Jay, for giving us the juice. You're welcome. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Rumor has it that LAPD thought strangled marks rotted away. I mean, there's a possibility, but I'm looking at these documents and I see no thing such. Thank you again, Jody Lynn. I do appreciate that. And yeah, drop this man's channel, or if he can drop it, go ahead and drop it. Just drop the link. Go to Flojo TV. We had Fugitive TV over here yesterday, and I like him. I like Flojo. I like Fugitive. We should all be watching everybody. All right, let's go.
When police found Celeste's body in a Los Angeles tow yard in early September, talking about how far back this goes, initial reports indicated that her body wasn't just decomposed, that it had been dismembered. Today, we may have finally gotten confirmation of that disturbing detail, and also official confirmation that there is a real active criminal case against David for a charge of murder. And this is all thanks to previously sealed court records.
Now, remember this, we've been talking about this for a while. Now, we do a lot of speculation, all right? Flojo King, you like Visa everywhere, Terry says. All right, listen, yeah, Fugitive TV's good as well. Flojo, awesome. So we've been talking about this forever and a day, and it's finally coming out. It's kind of like our discussions in the Nancy Guthrie case. We've got all this stuff we talked about last week, and then we hear breaking news. Oh, wait, we already knew that. Not officially. Thank you, Terry. Justice for Celeste. All right, let's continue.
That were obtained by private investigator Steve Fisher, which he released to the public. He's going to come on in a minute. But the records are tied to the Los Angeles County grand jury investigation against the singer. And they contain allegations that when detectives discovered Celeste's body in the trunk of that Tesla, it wasn't in one, but two bags, including one identified as, quote, a cadaver bag. Yeah, one body, two separate bags. And I don't know, call it ironic or not, but we are learning all of this is thanks to David's family. You see, his Houston-based father and other relatives, they were served a summons to testify in the pop star's case back in January. But when they tried to fight it,
and this is why I brought you on to here, so I don't have to read 151 pages. This is going to cover what the document says, essentially. I pulled out the important parts that give you the idea of what's going down, and I think real soon there's going to be an arrest.
their legal battle, which contained these documents, became public record thanks to Texas law. And again, Steve. Now, these documents raise some very big questions about the strength of the case against the singer, because prosecutors have seemingly known these details for months, right? And finding a body in two separate bags sure seems like something that would lead to an arrest. So why?
And you got to remember this for everything, guys. Remember this for all the cases we cover, okay? Because it's not something that is isolated incident. When investigators are investigating a case, slowly information will come out, and even information that is correct, they will tell you, no, when there's a leak. They'll say, we didn't say that. Whether it's right or wrong, they have to preserve those details in order to convict someone and not give them a heads up or a strategy for defense.
Isn't David or anyone associated with him in cuffs. Now, we've reached out to David's team for comment, haven't gotten a reply yet. Joining me now exclusively is missing persons private investigator Steve Fisher, who has been covering this story since it began. Steve, thanks so much for coming on. I first have to ask you, what led you to post all this today? And I'll be clear, you were quite vocal about your frustrations in this case.
Yeah, listen, these documents became available, and to be honest with you, it was the first confirmation that I got that she was actually dismembered. And that's something that, I couldn't find out. I really was hoping that that was not the case, and that just changed everything. I was vocal about it.
And you got to remember, he's been on boots on the ground, dedicated to this since the beginning. We were just reading his the X post where he put the pictures up.
I only do missing persons cases, and I'm really, really passionate about them, and especially about these victims that don't really have a voice and that are taken advantage of. And that is the case here with Celeste, who was 12 and 13 years old when this started. And
12, 13.
I'm getting angry, to be honest with you. I don't like the way that things are moving forward, and the lack of transparency. But they're telling us that it's not a lack of transparency. It's just things need to change, and I think we need to get more vocal.
So I want to get into that, but now that this is in the court documents and is seemingly a confirmation, there was a conversation before. Well, maybe she died accidentally. Let's say, there were some theories of drug overdose. People panicked, put her in the car, wasn't sure what to do with.
And you see that because we look at these pictures, and you've got this 14-year-old that has been quote unquote dating David since she is 12 and 13, getting groomed on Discord and all behind the scenes. And then maybe she accidentally passed, and David decided to live out his fantasies. I don't know. He started talking at 11. Oh, there you go. It's even worse than I thought.
Now, if there's confirmation she was dismembered in such a brutal fashion, and that they are looking at a murder charge for him, intentional murder, what does that tell you What is your theory of this case right now regarding what might have
yes,
happened to Celeste?
yes.
Well, what happened was vicious, and this was
All right, let's listen to him on his theory and what happened. It's probably going to be the closest to what happened, only because he has inside information that we don't. He's been boots on the ground. He's gotten things that we don't know about. So listen carefully what he says. David should be judged in California. He is. He is. Texas has nothing to do with it. They brought him. Yeah, no, he's in Texas and his family's there. And they escorted his family from Texas to Los Angeles to make sure they were there for the grand jury probing. Okay, so Texas has nothing to do with it, and he will be tried in California, not Texas. If it were Texas, he would probably get the death penalty. All right, let's listen to his theory, and remember, Steve Fisher has inside information and boots on the ground knowledge.
It's not, and we were hoping it was like an overdose and a bad decision made by some people to figure out how to get rid of her body, but she was hacked apart. She wasn't surgically taken apart. She was brutally pulled apart, with instruments and tools, and put in 2 separate bags, and then thrown in the trunk of a car, and they've been on with their lives for many months. And while she was there rotting, and
Damn.
it's
and he doesn't hold back. And I agree. I agree. He took her life. It's not an OD. It's a freaking group project. They all took a hack at her. We're just exploring ideas, but Steve Fisher doesn't think that either. David was 20 when this all started. I don't know. Is he 23 now? I heard he was 20, but maybe it was 20 when he met her. I don't know. All right. David is 2021 on the 28th. Let's get him in jail before his birthday on 3/28. Thank you, Terry. I appreciate that. All right, listen to what he says. She was hacked apart.
It's infuriating. It is just sadistic. It is
sadistic is the right word.
Listen, this is rare. This happens in the world, and this is why we need this person off the street. There's no.
Well, why do you think there's a delay in charges and arrest? Do you think this is a weakness in the case, or are they just building their case for the grand jury?
Well, maybe they're building their case, but 6 months is a very long time. Like how, this isn't like we found remains in a desert and there was nothing to go on. We're starting from zero. This is a girl that was found in somebody's registered vehicle in a wealthy neighborhood with a lot of cameras, in a car that has cameras. And, certainly, listen, I deal with like search warrant returns on cell phones all the time. That stuff comes back in 2 or 3 days. So they have her phone activity. They might not have her phone, but they have all those, things that they can tie together, and it just can't be that hard a case. But if
you mentioned the cadaver bag. Do you think that's tied to anybody?
Somebody bought it. I mean,
and they could track that.
Yeah, well, sure. And like, listen, we know that somebody ordered a burn cage, and it was delivered to the house in a different name, but that can be tracked. And I'm sure how many private individuals are buying cadaver bags.
Now listen, she was found in the Tesla, in the front trunk of the Tesla. In the front trunk of the Tesla, it's very, very small. All right. Now SF was not the first to say dismemberment that I know of. There were a lot of other people that were talking about Celeste being dismembered. But law enforcement said, we didn't say that. Shut that down. That's nothing that we said. And now that the documents have finally come out, we do know that she's been dismembered, but he doesn't even want to call it dismemberment because that's such a clinical term and opposite of what they did. Yeah, side note, his music does suck. And now that I know how he became a musician, well, rightfully so. He was playing Fortnite and he just wanted his own music. So he went in the closet and created some music, and it sucks, in my opinion. Just saying.
Probably not that many. And, so I think there's things to go on, but I don't think it takes 6 months with top investigators.
So let me break this down. If you're talking about 2 bags, right, and what you know about the bags, you're also concerned by the fact that it looks like just David is the target, but you believe he might have had help here, right? Allegedly.
Yes, so it's all allegedly, but I mean, I don't see any way that this is done by one person. I just don't. And I also know that the car was moved by somebody other than David.
And see, he knows. This is the huge discussion. He actually knows All right. Why they let him talk? He doesn't know what he's talking about. SF. Well, Tina Girl, the SF investigates, put the documents out for us to read them. So I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure your opinion or what he did, but he's talking about documents that he's seen. So, I mean, like him or not, the documents match what he's saying. Arrow in the garden, what's up? Yeah, everyone's gonna have a little bit of, I don't like Nancy Grace or I don't believe him, but he knows who was driving the car based on the surveillance, and so does law enforcement. And he's saying it's more than one person.
I'm just certain that there was, people that knew about it. Listen, that car was putting off a foul odor. There's even live streams where there's a makeup artist that mentions an odor in the house, and they make up this excuse for it. People knew about this, and everybody that
I showed you the video last time where Aysia came in the house, and by the way, 222 is an angel number. Let's say a prayer that Celeste gets the justice she deserves. Right? Her parents didn't give her justice in this life, and now she's no longer with us. So let's pray that somebody or the people responsible do get held accountable. All right, let's continue.
knew about it needs to pay a price, as far as I'm concerned.
Look at how
But
small
there's only
that.
one target in that, in that paperwork, and that is David, and it's also only one charge, and
Well,
again,
I mean, murder's the top charge here, and
Yep.
they seem to suggest. I mean, they seem to suggest.
Yep.
I don't know what evidence you. I mean, what evidence do you think they have to suggest that he intentionally killed her?
well, I mean, yeah, it's a murder, malice aforethought.
Yeah.
It's so the highest level, that means that this was intentional. This was not, so I don't know what to have that.
All right, all good. We all have opinions. Tina, you don't find him credible. He didn't write the documents. He just put them out, and we're listening to him. So you can disregard what he says if you don't like Steve Fisher. Right? We all have the capability to say we don't like that person, we don't believe that person, and agree to disagree. So thank you, Lady Justice. Thank you so much for the Guilty of Crime membership. If you received the membership from Lady Justice, please thank her, Lady for Justice.
That I guess that's my whole thing. I don't know, but I know that in order for them to be saying that, they got to have something. So if they've got it, what are we doing? And if you don't have it yet, why can't we start with something? Because there's a lot of other crimes that can be charged here, but this needs to be put in motion. There was evidence left behind that wasn't taken. I don't know why. There's 4 terabytes of surveillance from a house directly across the street that was not obtained. There's missteps here. Okay, and it's been a long time. The world needs justice, and I'm just gonna start calling it out.
What about David's family? Why would the prosecutor want them to testify? For what purpose?
Hey, but it's all good, man. Sometimes I'm watching stuff with y'all and I'm not into it, but hey, he's literally why we know anything. And Tina Girl, hey, so I love you, girly, so I'll stay. It just depends, we're adults to say I don't like that guy or whatever. That's fine. It's all good. You might not like me, but you want to hear what I have to say. And in this case, we're going to hop into coincidences in this case after. So that's all just speculation and things that are going to make you go, damn, Jay, I did not even. What? How could he not be arrested? Again, it's not hard evidence, but it's just wildly coincidental. And we don't believe in coincidences in true crime.
Purpose. And I also have to imagine whether or not they would plead the fifth, right against self-incrimination if they
I'm
wouldn't
sure
want to
they
testify
did.
against
I
their
think they
family
did.
member. But what would be the value of them testifying?
I can't see any value in it because, one, did David tell his family? Most likely, no. Well, you're not going to go tell your parents. But even if they did, like you said, they would plead or something. They're not going to give it up. And if we're holding up an indictment for them, because it ends up, it's been confirmed today, they have not appeared in front of the grand jury. Their attorneys confirmed that they still got an appeal process through the state level court going on. So if we're holding it up for what's going to be nothing, just like I'm sure they got nothing out of Neo Langston, Like what's missing, and keep us in. There's got to be some, like, keep us informed to some.
Yeah, they're not telling us ish. That's why we're going over this, because I was excited to hear the documents come out and align with what we're hearing. Now, I'm pretty sure the parents, well, they did talk about the parents taking the fifth. So if the parents can't take the fifth and you say they can't, I'm not sure about that. No, Allie Callie, we're talking about someone else. I don't like it when she's drinking Red Bull and I'm not. Well, guess what? I'm drinking a Red Bull. Are you? You make me laugh. All right, let's continue, because we gotta still get to the coincidences and what Aysia says.
Some level, because we don't know if the community is safe. These are vicious.
I do wonder if they're calling them to confirm that Tesla was his and registered, because it was registered to the Texas address where they live, right?
Yeah, he did. I forgot about that.
But listen, I mean, just through DMV records, you can,
That's true.
And also, listen, I have the license plate reader data for the last 18 months. I know where that car has been, and I can prove that he's driving and where it's been and stuff. So there's so many avenues, but it's slow.
And by the way, Neil Langston is David's friend who was arrested in Montana to seemingly appear before the grand jury. All right, Steve, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. And again, we are constantly following you on X for the latest updates. But
I wish he could just tell us what he knows about who was driving the car. I want to know. I know we're not getting any closer to that. And that's because, right, they can't say anything. But let's take a look at some of those coincidences so you guys can see what I'm saying. Again, this is all just speculation. I was looking up what people have to say on Reddit. They usually have some pretty good threads, and the threads have people like Aysia herself on there saying stuff to the public. That's the only way that you're going to get what they're putting down, is because they're there. So I'm like, oh, you guys gotta look at this. Oh, all right, let's take a look at this. This is and you guys can go follow it. I don't usually go on Reddit, but I've been finding a lot of good people linking documents there. So this one's the official, I call it David Idiots. All right. And I just like what they have to say. This case has too many coincidences. Let's document them. Again, we're not going to look at all of them, but there's some that just stuck out to me. Now, they have 24,000 weekly views and 3.3 thousand contributions, as well as it was created right after they found her body. All right. So look at that. Coincidence, right? Everyone knows what a coincidence is. The act or condition of coinciding, correspondence, a perfect coincidence between the truth, the occurrence of events that happens at the same time by accident, but seem to have some connection. Ding, ding, ding. That doesn't happen in true crime, in my opinion. All right, so we'll take a look at some of these, and I'll just read you a few. So I want to make a thread where I can dump all the weird, freaky, and head-scratching coincidences we've noticed so far. Not theories, not accusations, just things that make you stop and say, that's a little too convenient, odd, creepy to be random. Example of what he means: the multiple Celeste lookalikes appearing in his videos. Now, we just saw a picture of that a moment ago where there was a Celeste lookalike. Now, there's several Celeste lookalikes throughout this entire case. It's wild. I don't even know how he pulled that off, right? Timeline coincidences, lyrics. We've gone over his lyrics versus what happened in real life, dates that line up, locations, statements that contradict each other, things that feel statistically unlikely, anything that made you go, wait, what? Right? So one thing, David's father works for a law firm handling the Epstein estate. And the first time many of us ever hear Celeste's voice is during a live stream with David, where the chat is making Epstein jokes. David says he's media trained, that he media trained Celeste, and her response is, it's controversial, you RAPE kids. Right now, this is all documented. This is like in videos that we've seen. Now, that alone doesn't prove anything, like they say, but the timing and context make it one of those moments that make you pause and say, Oh, what a very weird coincidence. All right. So they're asking people to drop them in comments, and I saw some things. Please be respectful and factual. He's guilty, and they try to use it as a coincidence. It's not. All right. Let's see some of them. I saw some images, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe they put it out there. Premiering videos on September 8th, like Rehab shows an anime chopping off a female arm of his love interest. I'm going to get to that because you got to remember her arms and legs were in one bag and her torso and her head were in the other. Rehab, where people were discussing he might be a potential attempt to plead an insanity defense. Too many coincidences, right? All right, let's continue. And again, with all those gruesome videos and things that kind of foreshadow that might happen. He might try to say he's crazy. Yeah, pleading insanity means you didn't know it at the time. It was morally wrong. Now, guys, today there was a verdict in the case of the Amish woman that drowned her children and let them go off into the water, I think with the ATV. She was found not guilty by reason of insanity. So keep that in mind. Very creepy to be random. Look at this. Watch, Mr. Bot. Take a look when we get down here because chopping female love interest arms off seems really weird when you find arms and legs in a bag in a trunk of a guy that's putting those pictures out. Right. And someone posted an Epstein thing. Is it a coincidence that David's attorney, Blair Burke, represented the man on the left, Harvey Weinstein? Yeah, you guys tell me. You guys know who Harvey Weinstein is, right? All right. The Fortnite game got all the pedos hanging with each other in alternative ways. Wonder if old Weinstein played it as well. David's dad works for Epstein's firm, and having lawyers as Weinstein is weird, which is weird. Wonder who funded the creators of the Fortnite. Again, this is just no speculation or anything. We're just looking at things that make you go, whoa, okay, I see why people are so attracted. Not to mention the even creepier club kid vibe coming off of Ghislaine, or however you want to say her name, right? With her masquerade and the way she's got that, trying to appeal to the younger kids, dare I say. All right. Coincidence that on March 23rd, David posts this photo. And then on March 29th, Celeste's family has 2 911 calls for vandalism and vehicle burglary. All right. Now, I don't know if he was mad. I don't know if it was like they were like, hey, you need to come home. And so he's like, hey, I'm going to put this down there. And then the album come right after. I'm cheesed by this. What are you waiting for? And is that a coincidence? Maybe, maybe not. How could it be, right? It could. But anyway, it gets better. Never heard of this. You should post it. Let's see what else we got here. I wanted to really show you the drawings of cut off arms and things, and then finding that Riverside County Sheriffs. I don't know what they're referring to there. I'm just kind of trying to go through quickly. I think people are constantly questioning, not letting them smooth over their collaborations. All right. Oh, this. And you guys have seen some of this. So SF announces knife collection that David has in the romantic homicide. All right. Remember, they found different things in the $20,000 home that were like an incinerator. It was never used, but the body bags, the knives, the blood scenes. Do you find that coincidental? I don't believe in coincidences, especially in true crime. Just saying. All right. So there you go. There's a bunch of his knives and all these things. Were those used to dismember her and she was just hacked away? Because remember how bad of a job they did. All right. Yes, SF did say fillet knife. And there you go. You see all the knives that he was using in his videos. There's a fillet knife too, which is for skinning, which is a nightmare. All right. This hardware isn't for killing, but for torture. And you remember what he said. It was not even decapitated or not even, dismembered. It was more hacked up. All right. So a lot of people have things to say about that. Anime, they say, has nothing to do with it. But then when you get down here in a bit, you'll see what I'm talking about. Now, coincidence that David's friend thought it'd be a cute picture, and then later Celeste was found in the front of a trunk? They won't let me zoom in on this without opening another page, but you see what I'm saying here? That is where Celeste Rivas Hernandez body that was dismembered was found, was in a trunk of that particular Tesla car, right? It might not have been the exact one because the Tesla that he was driving was a special Tesla like X or something. But come on. What do you guys think about that? She didn't run, which is characteristic of mentally unstable. Right. All right. That'd be bold. I'm just looking at your guys' comment. Shut the front door. Yeah, look at that. Look at the size of that. So remember, inside of that trunk that kid is sitting in is the same size that they found two black body type bags, with one with a head and a torso and one with the arms and the legs. All right. An incinerator is common in a farm, but not in an urban house, right? I already knew it had to be like Epstein for him to be free for so long. All right. Again, this is just random things that make you go, what the hell? Not even, All right. And people start talking about all these different connections. And then I get down here. After reading this today, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. All right. So this one talks about, if you don't know the case at all and you're just going by what's on the surface, these things stand out. All right. Look, Celeste H. And there's another Celeste stand-in, Celeste RH. Now, at first, I was like, meh, that means nothing. But sure, it's coincidental that there are two females in David's orbit with the same name. Now, the video where D is blindfolded in the back seat features a white dude with features similar to Neo, thin, prominent jaw, pale, and a gal with curly dark hair. You're going to see what I'm talking about. The anime cartoon where David is depicted as Itami, I think I'm saying it right. In it, he is incinerating with a cartoon image of a female character in a violent way. I think her arm is cut off. Let me check. The fact that he rented a house up in the hills, and then he also had a little cottage on Doheny. Why is that little house never mentioned in the media? There are images of Celeste in that house. So for those of you guys that are knee deep in this case, he had another house that he was renting, like a little cottage that was more personal. Why aren't they talking about that? All of these, if just one, could be a coincidence, but in the light of everything we know, it's just a pattern. I wish I could zoom in more. Actually, I'm going to zoom in more because you have to see this. We just talked about how Celeste's body was found. And then look at this. Wait, hold on. Let me get back to the... Look at this. You guys got to tell me. Look at this. You can't tell me coincidence or not. But look, we literally just read the documents that came out from the grand jury probe. And you've got her arm hacked off right here, even though they did a straight chop, and brutal, gruesome stuff being done to her. All right, in this anime. And there's more of this coming. So you guys tell me what you think. Can you imagine? I think he waited a few days to cut her up, and then he ripped her tissue from decomp in that Tesla's G-Whip brand, and it's like Chase Keith. Yeah, I saw that. It was all right. Too many tools ready, very planned out first time. Ripped off exactly. And look at the cartoon that he's portraying here. All right. So I'm gonna back out of this, and then we'll go back because I still got more to show you all. All right, let's continue. Just a few more things that make you go, what in the hell? And again, this, here he is again. This is him. Or they're depicting either him or Neo. I think they were talking about Neo in this one, right? They've got the like Freddy Krueger claws, the bloody shirt, the choppy hair. And the girl next to him is what ultimately ended up being the girl with the arm cut off. And again, we just found out arms in one bag with legs, head in one bag with torso. There you go. There's that creepy character back there with an arm just floating off in space. What do you think? Again, David's Instagram profile, guys, he loved Hello Kitty. Him and Celeste had Hello Kitty everything. Okay, look at his Instagram profile of the Hello Kitty. It has no arm. It's missing one of the arms. You guys tell me, is that a coincidence or not? All right, hit that like button. Yep. Right? I love you guys. This is why I love the Crime Crew family. You guys are awesome. Again, this is just purely, it's not even theories or speculation. It's just really messed up coincidental things. All right. Wasn't he selling bloody shirts? He was wearing them and taking pictures. I remember his Jeffrey Dahmer, when the police talked about his deaths, they would cut up. All right. Hit that like button. Thank you. So strange missing. I know, right? And then Celeste shows up with missing arms, missing legs, a missing head, and a part of a torso. Oh, this pissed me off too, using the wonderful Hello Kitty in this way to portray, in my opinion, Celeste's arm being cut off. I'm sure the house that's never mentioned is rented by streamers by the hour. All right. Only link for Celeste H is she lives in the same neighborhood as Aysia, pretty close, and went to the same high school. So initially, Asia's friend. Again, how did he have so many damn Celeste lookalikes? That's so crazy. All right, yep, too many coincidences. It's no longer a coincidence. Not a coincidence. I lost count. Let me see if I find anything else. I mean, there's a lot in here. I just wanted you guys to see all these chilling things that everyone else has been following. All right, coincidence that David reposts this right before tour, and then later, Robert is grilled by the DA for not calling the police, and his response is he thought it wasn't his responsibility and just wanted to get on with the tour. Now, who's Robert, you ask? That's his manager. And when they, at law enforcement or whoever asked him, media asked him, why didn't you cancel the tour? He said, it's not my responsibility. I'm just trying to get this tour done. All right. And then this David freestyle with Caleb and Drummer. All right. I haven't even seen this one yet. Coincidence in 2023, David does a freestyle with Caleb, and these are his lyrics. All right. And the lyrics are, I'm not testifying in court. Hey, Your Honor, I did not buy it. I did not even try it. I just wanted to rely it. So I need a medical arrangement. He's armed and dangerous. I'm going to put him on the pavement. I'm going to shoot him where he laying. I'm going to shoot him while he down, make his body hit the ground. I'm going to murder all my friends. Call me Melly in the town. I'm not getting indicted. I'm going to shoot him on sight. And what? He going to pull up and deny it. I'm not testifying in court. Hey, Your Honor, I did not buy it. I did not even try it. I just want it to rely it. All right. You guys tell me, coincidence, his freestyle, or is he making his music based on what he did to Celeste Rivas? Right? It's another coincidence, right? SF shares 2 photos of Celeste and David from 12/30 and 31, which include a blade and Celeste's head, which is on Figueroa Street. Then he later talks about Celeste being sex trafficked. Did you know on Figueroa Street, there's a portion of the area called The Blade, which is the LA Kitty prostitution center? Is that another coincidence? And literally, they got a freaking ad in the New York Post here. It says, anyone who want to have sex with a young girl in LA can drive to The Blade, a notorious red light district where 12-year-olds are openly walking the streets, and cops are all but powerless to thwart the disgusting pedo bazaar. The children line up along a 2-mile section of Figueroa Street, aka the Kitty Stroll, clad in the next to nothing to indulge in their Johns. Sickest fantasies for around $100. Many of the girls were recruited from foster care systems after being seduced on social media, authorities said. All right, there's a lot of stuff here, guys. All right. And we're gonna continue, but today we're going to get to what David's bestie breaks her silence about Aysia, what she says and what you think. All right, these are the things that make you go, what in the hell? And again, this is just my opinion, no speculation or theory. It's just me telling you Man, there's some really messed up stuff in this place. How the heck did we get here? And why didn't anyone take it seriously? All right. And then you guys, if you haven't subbed up to, I don't even know if I said her name, Kadisha Lynn, you should, because she does a lot of shorts. And so when you want to find out what happened, she's got the juice. All right. I love when you come on there and I can imitate that face. Look. What's up, my friend? Against all logic, good to see you. Charlie Brown. Charlie Brown. Probably the best Redditor of all times. These plenty is the best Redditor of all times. What's up, my little stars? I'm gonna make my face like that. I don't have pigtails though. All right. Guilty of crime. Buy me coffee too, please. Yeah, come on over, Brown. Charlie's, I'll buy you a coffee, no problem. All right, let's hear what. Now, listen, remember, she's on the front cover. This is, in my opinion, she looks like a little bit older version of Celeste Rivas. This is Aysia. What does she have to say?
Officially back, my voice is back, and we have some more things to get into involving David, because now Aysia has spoke out, and I don't think she did herself any favors by doing this, but we are.
Now, this just came out 1 day ago, so I want you to realize that, all right? Is what fake, Michelle? Is what fake? Tell me what. Flojo TV says, Jay, check your email. Oh, you got that knife collection. Hold on. Oh, thank you. All right. Let's take a look at it real quick since he just said, thank you, Flojo. I appreciate that. Let's look at that knife collection. It is important. I just didn't want to change the screen at the time, but there it is. Thank you, Flojo. I appreciate that. You see the knife collection, and I'll drop it down. Yeah, Flojo, Flo, you got the most connections, right? Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, look, you see that? Those are all the knife collection that he had in his video depicting. What is he depicting there? And some of those blades are used for torture, which looks like Celeste Rivas Hernandez was tortured, and possibly she was cut up when she was still alive. Aysia, one of his clones, but she don't have the ringlet hair like same as Celeste. I agree. Yeah, trigger warning this whole episode is a trigger warning. Now we're gonna find out what Aysia has to say, and this came out yesterday. Ooh, that made my face big. All right. Thank you, Flojo. I do appreciate that. All right, let's continue. I just didn't want to change screens.
We're about to break it down, and some other things that I figured out that contradict what she is actually saying. Aysia posted this long statement on Reddit that I'm not going to read her whole statement because honestly, I feel like it's all sorry for me. And yes.
And yeah, I wanted to go back real quick because I started looking for her on there once I saw this, and then I saw the D4V idiots. And that is Aysia, actually. So you go over there and see what she says. But when I found out her age is when I saw the missing poster. So she's saying that. She's trying to say she didn't even know her age. Her age wasn't on it when I saw it. I confronted David and harassed him to try and find out the truth and see if he would show me proof of her age because I didn't believe it. He showed me multiple IDs of the girl. And at a certain point, I believed a friend I had thought never lied to me. Remember that. Celeste Rivas Hernandez was around a bunch of David's little entourage crew. No questions asked, it seems.
Sorry for me. And yes, Aysia did in fact confirm that this person on Reddit was actually her on her Instagram. And Aysia claimed that she found out Celeste's age when she saw the missing poster, and her age wasn't on it when I saw it. We're about to bring it back to this DM that was leaked, if you guys remember me talking about it, where Aysia was DM'd by somebody and they sent her the missing poster of Celeste. And mind you, this was back in February of 2024, and she said, bro, this is my friend's girlfriend. And this person told Aysia, is there any way you can confirm because she's only 13? And Aysia responded, what the F, you're lying. She claims that she confronted David after this and harassed him to try to figure out the truth and see if he would show her proof of her age because she didn't believe David at first. She said that David showed her multiple IDs of Celeste, and at a certain
And you gotta think that he probably did have multiple IDs to get her into places. And I did see that. I saw the freestyle that you sent over. If I can get to that, I'll definitely play it. Jay, didn't SF say they were printing shirts in the house? I'm dreading the idea that he used some of more of the blood. He sold them at the concert. Yeah, you're right. First name 3628. I wonder if he did. I wouldn't doubt it in his sick mind. First name David was making merch shirts in his house with fake blood, although LAPD did investigate that. All right, let's continue. There's a lot in this case, and that's why I'm not being strictly on the news, because the news is giving us a lot of the legal jargon, but I want to know what the hell's going on in this case that's outside of the court. All right. And a lot is happening outside the court like this.
Point, she believed a friend who she thought would never lie to her also was fed a story. Somebody asked her, why didn't you ask Celeste Rivas yourself? Was he keeping her in the cupboard or something? She says, I didn't know her, didn't have any mutual connections with her, did not have her number, did not know if she was actually missing or where she was never in her proximity of her that I knew of. I had only met her once. When she claimed that she only met Celeste once, people were really grilling her.
Yeah, you guys gotta imagine. We've seen lots of videos and lots of people and lots of things, and I feel like that's a huge lie. I hope he doesn't. I hope she doesn't testify to that, or she's getting locked up. He used the IDs to get a passport, and she went to Paris to Fashion Week. There you go. He can do anything he wants, right? This kid got a exorbitant amount of money real fast, and he's already got weird thoughts in his head. Let's just escalate that.
About the recent photos that Steve Fisher posted of New Year's Eve in 2020.
Now, that was the pictures that they posted on New Year's Eve 2024 when I showed you with them chopping up something. All right.
And how Steve Fisher brought up that Aysia was in fact at this get together. We'll just say this is one thing that she never answered. I'm sure you guys remember this photo that was going around where you can see Celeste in the bottom right hand corner right there. And David is performing with his little sister on stage. And I want to be 100% clear that in attendance that night at this performance at the Fonda Theater was Neo, David, Aysia, the other Celeste. Up here, we have David's little sister wearing the same outfit, his mother, his younger brother, his managers. The thing is, we have proof of Celeste not only in that photo from this night, also the video, if you guys remember, of Celeste going backstage with David's younger brother. And in that video, I realized when going back through everything that Celeste was actually holding David's younger sister's hand when she was going backstage. And yes, his younger sister is wearing the same exact outfit when she performed with David this night.
You guys see what's happening here? I mean, this is the ultimate duper's delight, guys. I mean, just straight up. Wow, got called away again. What did I miss? I don't know what to tell you, but I mean, this is just the ultimate, like, hey, I live my fantasy out on video. I live my fantasy out by having my stuff in the house and performing it. And then I actually really get to live my fantasy by taking somebody's life. Yeah, I know. Lock this creep up and his accomplices and whoever was driving that damn car.
Same as the photo booth pictures with everybody in these pictures. Remind you, just in this photo, Celeste is around a lot of David's management team backstage, but there was also photos that were going around. And it appears at certain times Celeste was sitting in the audience with David's family also. But in the video, there is no denying it because she's literally going backstage with David's younger sister and his younger brother. Watch closely. See? She's holding the hand of David's younger sister in this video. It's from the same night.
Look, there she is,
younger brother. Right, obviously, this is one of the clearest videos and pictures that we actually see of Celeste.
And that is just, everybody had to have seen her. But guys, I think David purposely surrounded himself with Celeste lookalikes so that he could get away with something. They had to have been in his sick mind, but that can't be coincidental.
Like, this was the best one.
Look at that.
So we have Steve Fisher calling her out multiple different times about knowing about Celeste and being around Celeste, her being at the same concert with Celeste, and her admitting that this email that was floating around was actually real and she knew that Celeste was David's girlfriend. So
there is no way she didn't know that, and I don't know if she's on that grand jury list. I haven't heard about her, but there's no way that any of those people that were hanging around believed that she was that age. Now, unless somebody really truly only saw her one time or wasn't in his tight-knit group, there's no way, no how they didn't know that. She's just straight up lying. All right. And if she does have to testify or go to the grand jury and they present any of the connections or evidence, she's going to get locked up for lying because she's in the inner circle and she did not see her just once. She knows what she's saying.
So how did you not really know
In
her
my
and you
opinion,
only met her once if you knew that she was David's girlfriend? Mind you, this is the type of things that Asia was posting in the past when all of this was going on and she didn't speak. She said here that she did not know the girl nor her age. People start calling her out, saying that it's crazy that all of a sudden she wants to make a statement just 7 hours after the documents were posted about David being the target in the grand jury and the details of how they found Celeste. And she literally says, I thought many documents have been posted many days, but anyway. And Steve Fisher took to his Twitter and he was literally going off. He was calling out Neo, saying, you knew, I've seen family members publicly defend him and threaten lawsuits against anyone who names him. Sue me, I beg you, please sue me, give me subpoena power. Give me the power of discovery because that may be the only way the truth.
which we just went over this, but in case some of you weren't here, I'm just going to let that play out. All right. We can dispel that Asia only saw her once for 5 minutes in less than 5 minutes. Huh. Hello, Laura. How are you? What was the email again? guiltyofcrimebyj@gmail.com. She was one of the first to testify. I believe she said something in her lying way, and that's why the grand jury switched to an indictment grand jury. Well, thank you, Terry. I appreciate that. Oh, in your opinion. Okay. All right. We don't know for sure because the documents don't have everything in there, and there's still a lot of documents that are sealed.
Comes out. I beg you, file that defamation suit. How do people like David, Neo, and Asia live with themselves? To me, this was huge. This is actually hearing Steve Fisher not confirming, but calling Neo out directly, which we have speculated for a long time, is who Steve Fisher is referencing as being the last person that moved David's Tesla. As Steve Fisher claimed that the Tesla was moved for the very last time right before a tour bus would show up, and this person would go with David on tour. And you know the two people who went on tour and who were in that tour bus was Asia and Neo.
We embark on our tour adventure with the Bangin' Balls burgers, the Bangin' Balls tender, tour bus vibes, studio in the back because we make a music called Tour. You know what's that? You know what it is.
We don't know if Neo or Asia had anything to do with Celeste Rivas' unaliving, but what we can say and what we can assume, they definitely knew about Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Of these things, just like David's mother, brother, and dad being subpoenaed, matter in a case. And the reason why all of this information matters and they want to know if people have seen Celeste and how long around David and know the ins and outs of this.
Because they haven't even established a timeline. Nobody knew she was dead for quite some time. Nobody ever seen Asia around older Celeste before David? Nobody ever seen Asia around older Celeste. I have no idea. I'm just digging into this case. I don't follow this dedicatedly like some people do. So I don't know all the little nooks and crannies, but I do know what is documented and the documentation that's came out in the public. But you have to really search on different platforms to find out a lot of these missing pieces. And there's a lot because they were posting constantly.
Relationship is because this is things that they actually bring up during trial. And I've really been thinking about, we've heard Steve Fisher reference that he really believes that Celeste passed away in January or February. And I really agree with that. He was acting at the end of
Oh, I did not mean to just cut that off. I'm sorry. Let me put this back up real quick. I was trying to shut down some of my other things and it just went down. All right. Sorry guys. We'll get back to it. Yeah, listening to this stuff and hearing all the inside information, it does help connect the case, even though it might not be able to be used, right? Hold on. There we go. Wow. All right, I got you. Sorry about that, guys. I did that to myself. Where'd it go? All the way to the end. I rarely do that. I missed the screen. All right, here we go. Sorry about that.
It's David's girlfriend. In the past, when all of this was going on and she didn't speak, she said here that she did not know the girl nor her age. People start calling her out, saying that it's crazy that all David being the target in the grand jury and the details of how they found Celeste. And she literally says, I thought many documents have been posted many days, but anyway. And Steve Fisher took to his Twitter and he was literally going off. He was calling out Neo, saying, you knew. I've seen family members publicly defend him and threaten lawsuits against anyone who names him. Sue me. I beg you. Please sue me. Give me subpoena power. Give me the power of discovery because that may be the only way the truth comes out. I beg you, file that defamation suit. How do people like David, Neo, and Aysia live with themselves? To me, this was huge. This is actually hearing Steve Fisher not confirming, but calling Neo out directly, which we have speculated for a long time, is who Steve Fisher is referencing as being the last person that moved David's Tesla. As Steve Fisher claimed that the Tesla was moved for the very last time right before a tour bus would show up, and this person would go with David on tour. And you know, the two people who went on tour and who were in that tour bus was Aysia and Neo.
We embark on our tour adventure with the Bangin' Balls burgers, the Bangin' Balls tender, tour bus vibes, studio in the back because we making music called tour. You know where it's at.
All right, this is where I messed up on it, and sorry. Again, guys, these are just a bunch of kids. This is a bunch of children. Bunch of children that have too much money too quickly, doing whatever they want. All right. Oof. I wonder what Neo's mom knows. Now, here, listen, Flojo TV. Here's the thing. They might not know exactly the ins and outs of what was going on, but I assure you they know of and probably seen, met, everything with Celeste. So that's what they're going to come at because they're trying to put Celeste close to David. All those times that they tried to disguise themselves or delete something or put another Celeste in the way, thinking they're being tricky, that's what they're trying to do. And whoever moved the car absolutely should be charged. They know who it is. We don't. They're not telling us yet.
You know what it is.
We don't know if Neo or Aysia had anything to do with Celeste Rivas' unaliving, but what we can say and what we can assume, they definitely knew about Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Of these things, just like David's mother, brother, and dad being subpoenaed, matter in a case. And the reason why all of this information matters and they want to know if people have seen Celeste and how long around David and know the ins and outs of this relationship is because this is things that they actually bring up during trial. And I've really been thinking about,
of course, these are all adults. I'm just saying, according to me, I'm 46 years old and a lot of the audience is in their 30s and 40s. Celeste was literally a child, 14. She didn't even make it to her 15th birthday. These people were adults by age, but what I'm saying is it was just a bunch of children that turned into adults and had a mass amount of money and made bad decisions. All right. So we're coming and being a voice for Celeste. I want you to know that you're beautiful human. Stay and St. Michael protect. Thank you, Brooklyn. Strong spirit. Good to see you. I say that because Neo's mother tried defending him in the comments. Oh, really? Well, and I don't, that doesn't surprise me, Flojo. So when you're streaming this on your channel, his mom comes in your comments and defends. I mean, I believe it. Where are the parents? I wasn't even allowed in people's houses unless their parents were home until I was 18. Yes, the jab. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Neo is not detained. He was let go of, and he's now talked to and did what he was supposed to do with the grand jury. All right. Yeah, he was released the next morning on a bond, and that was that. All right. Nobody's formally been arrested for any of this, and the only charge that's coming right now is one count of the big capital M. All right.
heard Steve Fisher reference that he really believes that Celeste passed away in January or February, and I really agree with that. He was acting at the end of February literally sends me chills. Like this post that he made cleaning shoes with gloves on February 23rd. Also doing a video right before he did this saying that he was taking his Tesla to get it detailed.
Cars at the detailer getting that smoothie out. I got bit by a mosquito.
And this is what I'm saying. In this generation, these are technically adults, yes. All right, technically they are. Jay, I sent you his mom's comment for my video. Okay, I'm gonna check that out and I'll pull it up. That'll be awesome. The one SF is referring to as family publicly defending him. Okay, like I said, these children, they're actually adults, but this generation documents everything they do on video. All right. So there's a huge duper's delight going on in this man's mind, in my opinion.
My announcement is delayed. I gotta get an Uber. Half my shoes are dirty. But I'm alive.
February 1st is when that new Tesla ended up being leased. Now that we have the details confirmed of how Celeste Rivas was found in the trunk of his Tesla, I really think that this timeline of January to February is probably the most realistic, especially knowing that she was stored in a cadaver bag. Now, it's just my opinion, but I do believe that Aysia probably did get subpoenaed to testify to this grand jury because we know Neo did, we know Morgan Roth did, we know the other manager did. You have to remember that Aysia was on tour with David when they found Celeste in the front of his Tesla. When she says, I can't say much, I do get that. I do think she probably testified, but I am very curious if she actually told them what she all knew. This night in particular is going to be a big deal, I think, in a lot of these testimonies that are.
Oh, yeah. And it's people that were surrounded by him, not only close friends and family and characters that like to hang out, but these are the people that he's also fronting the bill on, right? You know, he put everything into his parents' name. Now he's moved it that way just in case, in which he will be arrested soon, I believe. I'll take a look at that. I looked at my chat. Thank you for sending that. Give likes a few more needed. Yeah, hit that like button, y'all. Let's continue. We got more. I don't know where people are going to,
being
but
sought at the grand jury because it gives a background of people that have actually laid their eyes on Celeste or might have known about the relationship between Celeste and David. It's also a very big significant factor because she was a child. I'm sure this is not going to be the only question for David's parents. I'm sure they're also going to want to know why David transferred his homes into his parents' names when all of this started going down. But I am so glad to be back, and I'm hoping that we see some justice really soon. But I will see you guys in the next one, and you all let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments.
Yeah, you guys should definitely go sub up to her. The description, the link is in the description, and then I will put this over real quick. I want to. So Flojo TV's been covering this, and I haven't been following this, honestly. I've been following a lot of other cases, and now I dug this up. I was like, okay, we need to do an update. So that was a comment on Flojo TV, right? Am I saying this right? That's a comment on one of your posts or YouTube videos, and it's Neo's mom saying Neo, or is that Neo's mom, or who is that Neo's mom defending? Am I understanding that right? Neo did not hide out with his mom. Remember, Neo the Asian, he lives with his mom. He was never served. He never drove the Tesla. He is not in a plea deal. He has nothing to hide. He was cooperating with the district attorney already, and the arrest is completely bogus. Nancy is Melinda ducketing him. Okay, so that was a comment from his mother, from Neo's mom, or from David's. I'm assuming Neo's. All right. Remember, he buys a burn cage, and yes, but it wasn't used at all. He bought the burn cage and a chainsaw under a fake name with the gift card, but none of it was used. It was all props, allegedly. All right, let's continue. I've got some more if you guys are interested in being here for a little bit, because there's a law and crime episode that came out and it goes over all the legal jargon. All right, so if you guys want to stay here for a bit, hit that like button, subscribe, get a
We have
member.
breaking news. New court documents reveal that singer David is officially a murder suspect. And there is a criminal case being pursued against him in connection with the death of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. And unfortunately, these documents also reveal apparent new
And guys, there's going to be some talk and speculation about what's going to happen next and how fast. So that comment was Neo's mother, Cynthia, on Flojo TV, saying, hey, my son didn't, basically he didn't have anything to do and don't be blaming him. We find that a lot now that we're on YouTube, right? We got the Sotos coming out and hating us. And, we still got, we're lingering to not too far from, we got Deb in the house. And so that happens, man. Social media is crazy. Very interested in this case, Jay. For love from Vermont. Much love to you. And I do have a playlist if y'all want to hang around, and if you need to find out what happened earlier on, go back and watch my playlist. I think I make it really simple in each episode to follow. Here's what happened, and here's what happened, and here's what's next, and here's what's next, and here's what happened before, in case you forgot.
and disturbing details about her dismembered body. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime.
Yeah.
I'm Jesse Weber.
Man, you could literally buy a cadaver bag on Amazon, and that's a good point, Deb. Here's the thing. You buy a cadaver bag on Amazon, and 2 cadaver bags were found in and I hate saying the front trunk of the Tesla. Well, who purchased those cadaver bags? Where were they produced? What batch did they come from? Where, you know what I'm saying? Are their fingerprints? What? $20 Amazon, but here's the kicker. When you buy something like that on Amazon, it's easy to trace it. All right. Brooklyn says, thank you, Jesus. Clear and mental. All right. Technically, yes, Amazon, but don't forget David had an entire funeral with a real coffin at the first 2 shows. Yes, that's what I meant by Duper's Delight. He was constantly in plain sight doing the sick, sadistic, twisted stuff. He was acting it out on camera, and it ultimately ended up with what we're talking about right freaking now. All this is exactly what we're talking about. I'm trying to get past the ad. Look at that, man. That's the car right there, guys.
Trunk of a car allegedly registered to singer David back in September out in LA. We have been following this case religiously. There have been no arrests. There have been no charges. Well, there have been arrests, but not in connection with the actual, let's say, killing of Celeste or the removal of her body. There was an arrest in terms of somebody being brought there to testify. But here's the big part. You've heard reports of a grand jury being impaneled. You've heard reports of David being considered a suspect, but nothing official. There has been so much that authorities haven't been revealing about this investigation. But right now, Steve Fisher, the private investigator who had been investigating this case on the ground, demanding justice.
And I apologize if you don't like Steve Fisher, but I gotta say, he's out there and he's stirring the pot and he's getting information and he's helping out with the case. I don't know how credible he is in all the cases, but I do appreciate the information that he's produced and that he produces in other cases. So we'll see.
Who may have testified in front of the grand jury himself, by the way, although we can't officially confirm that. And by the way, he represents the owner of the house where David was reportedly staying
I love
where the
it.
Tesla was found. He just dropped not only huge bombshells about this case on X, but he just gave us 150 pages of court filings that have revealed a lot of new information. We have learned more about Celeste's body, and we have learned that there is a real case against David.
It's 151, okay? Anyway, yeah, it's 151 page. Is his mom being maligned as I have been? He's also a pedophile, grooming 11 and raping. There's a possibility, Deb, but right now we're talking about Neo's mom. And yeah, absolutely. Moms are going to stick up for their child. Now, I don't know. They're not particularly saying that about Neo. It's more of Neo knew that David was doing that. But yes, Deb, that happens to parents that try to defend their children. And, you can't control what your kids do. And there's only so much that you can defend, because really, when it comes down to, your kids are going to do what they want.
For murder. So let me lay out first what he posted on X, and then we'll discuss the actual filings. First, Steve wrote, in a petition for attendance to compel David family members to appear before a grand jury, it's disclosed that Celeste Rivas Hernandez's head and torso were found in a cadaver bag, her severed arms and legs in a second bag. David Burke, meaning David, is the target of the grand jury for one count of murder. And when you read from the screenshots that he posted, and we'll talk about this more from the actual filing, people of the state of California v. David Burke, Nathan Hochman at the top. So that's.
And good night to anyone who's leaving. I'm still here. This is more of the document and the legal jargon and what's going on and what they think about it. Okay. Because obviously I'm not any kind of person, a lawyer or any law enforcement. So I really like when they break down a document that's 151 pages where I'm like, habeas corpus, what?
LA County District Attorney Beth Silverman is the assistant DA. We've mentioned her too. So this is confirming there is a real case. They are the prosecutors, including her. Saw her coming in and out of court before.
Oh, wow.
And then the filing states that there is now pending in the Superior Court of the County of Los Angeles the above entitled grand jury investigation by the state of California against target David Burke, wherein Target may be involved in having committed the following criminal offenses against the laws of the state of California, to wit, one count of murder. This is big. This is big because it was always a question of whether or not they were really investigating and gathering evidence regarding a murder charge. And when I looked it up, when I looked up that penal code under California law, murder is the unlawful killing of a human being or a fetus with malice aforethought, basically an intentional killing. So while there were theories out there that
now, there's so many things that David put out there. We just showed a bunch of different things that make you go, I wonder what's going to be the solid evidence they use. And my little stars, thank you for saying that. Remember, Celeste and David broke up in December of 2024. How did they go from broke up to partying at New Year's Eve? Well, we know how that goes. When you're 12 years old, 13 years old, 14 years old, you break up to make up, okay? And I didn't even realize that that breakup happened right then and there. So maybe that was why he took her life, was because of the breakup and him not wanting to, if I'm not going to have you, nobody is. You know what I'm saying? And then he lived out his sick fantasies. I'm glad you're looking at the documents and looking at Fisher and analyzing. We're not going to like everybody. It doesn't matter. We want to hear the information. I appreciate that. Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate y'all.
Let's say Celeste had died as an accident. Let's say Celeste died from a drug overdose and there was a panic and there was just an instance of trying to dismember her body or dispose of her body or hide her body. Remember, at one point you heard from authorities, maybe there was nothing beyond just the removal of her body that was being investigated.
All right, we got P&O rolling by. P&O says, hey, what's up? Stephen Stearns is in disciplinary confinement. Trying to get the report as we speak, guilty of crime. Deb, Stephen Stearns' mom is here right now, and I hadn't talked to her really about much, but Deb, I guess maybe you would. Thank you, P&O. You guys go sub up to P&O. I'm always saying, oh, I love this dude. His voice, just like, I know it's him. P&O, you can go at P&O or Playtime Poppy. He's, did you know that, Deb? That Stephen Stearns is on disciplinary confinement, or maybe you don't know that and he's not calling you because, and you're worried. Maybe you're worried. Stephen hasn't reached out to me. You and Chris are worried. Well, he's got, it looks like he's on disciplinary confinement. If you're concerned about him not reaching out to you, that's why. Such a horrible loss. A lovely girl. Give these thugs money and they became monsters. I agree. Thank you, P&O, by the way. Go sub up to him if you would. Let's go.
That was the only charge, not the case. Now they believe they have enough evidence to support a murder charge, that he intentionally killed her. And then it goes on to say how you have the three witnesses summoned by California are DeWood, Colleen, and Caleb Burke. So his dad, his mom, and his younger adult age brother. And the information that's attached to Steve Fisher's tweet is in reference to DeWood Burke's court paperwork. And it says, quote, that if DeWood Burke comes into the state of California in obedience to a summons directing him to attend and testify at said grand jury investigation, the laws of the state of California and of any other state through which he may be required to pass by the ordinary course of travel to attend such proceeding, shall give him protection from arrest and the service of process, civil or criminal, in connection with matters which arose before his entrance into said state pursuant to such summons, determines that DeWood Burke is an adult, that the prosecution will provide the witness a round-trip airplane ticket and transportation to and from the airport. Wherefore, it is requested for on behalf of the state of California that Your Honor certify to the above and foregoing by the issuance of a certificate thereto under the seal of the Superior Court of Record in the state of California to compel the attendance of DeWood Burke as a witness at the grand jury investigation on the date and time set forth pursuant to law. Basically, outlining that he is needed to be a witness in this case, and that if he follows it and he shows up, he's not going to be arrested and charged. Got this other post from Steve. Quote, court transcripts show that detectives from the LAPD Robbery Homicide Division were in Texas to escort David's parents to Los Angeles to testify about what they know about the
I was on mute. My bad. Sorry about that. A lot of people are still interested in that case. The 2-year mark just hit for Madeline Soto and the anniversary, so to speak. So more people are digging the case back up. So P&O says it's public. You can Google it on the Department of Corrections. And I guess that didn't happen. I mean, you don't know anything about that, Deb? You haven't heard anything? But yeah, I was just curious. I didn't want to piss anyone off about anything. Just out of pure curiosity, is Stefan in, in a confinement where he's not calling or texting? That might explain it. All right. But whatever. I mean, we're not on that case, and that happens. That happens.
That their son murdered and dismembered a 14-year-old girl. #monster, #Celeste Rivas Hernandez. And Steve also posted a portion of a transcript for me. Texas court, where attorneys for the Burkes were arguing that their clients wanted to make sure that everything was in order and they knew about everything before they went to Los Angeles. And we're going to talk about this more, but that part of the transcript reads, and again, LAPD detectives are here to make sure they get a flight, they get a hotel, they get room and lodging, that it will not cause
And that's what I was telling you earlier. They literally escorted them from Texas to LA to make sure they went. And I thought so. I thought David's 20. He's turning 21 this month. That's wild. And yes, P&O, Maddie, thank you for recognizing her. We do this for the ones without a voice. And Maddie sure did not have a voice, and her mother did not help her one bit at all. I don't understand what, and I don't understand why Jen Soto is still not arrested, by the way. But back to the Celeste Rivas case. We need justice for her. And it looks like they're moving, but it's been 6 months and nobody's been formally charged with anything.
Undue hardship to them, and that the court issue those subpoenas on behalf of California. And then the judge says, okay, Mr. Martinez, yes, Your Honor, if I may just take a step back and advise the court of what we actually received this afternoon. Okay, we received from the state, at the request of the state of California, a subpoena for Colleen and DeWood Burke, a certification from a judge in California where it states that there is an affidavit attached from the Assistant District Attorney of Los Angeles, and we have the attestation from the clerk, and we have an affidavit from an Assistant District Attorney in Los Angeles, but it has been redacted. Now, I'm going to get more into exactly why this is significant in just a second. And by the way, as we think about them testifying, what would they testify? We'll talk about that too. But also, would they plead the fifth, right? Something to think about. Here's another.
And we were talking about that earlier, and people in chat were saying they can't plead the fifth. And I was like, why? Because again, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I never had a lawyer. Don't know any of that. I learn as I go. Now, Master Death Hancock says only in the photo on January 2nd on a trail by his house. She's on a film. She on film August 24th. Show in the stand. It's not her. That comes from his team. That's her same long neck, hair, eyes, level bang, same skin, white nails. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of like stand-ins. Stand-in Celeste. I'll tell you that much.
Other post from Steve. Quote, a Waller County, Texas court compelled David's parents and brother to travel to Los Angeles to appear before the grand jury on February 11th, 2026. That decision was appealed, and a writ of habeas corpus was then filed on February 3rd, which was denied. It appears they have appeared before the judge, most likely invoking the fifth, but that is speculation on my part. Celeste Rivas Hernandez. So see, he thinks the same thing I do. And that tweet included part of a court document which reads, the court ordered Mr. Burke to appear before the California grand jury on February 11th, 2026. A writ of habeas corpus was filed on February 3rd. The writ challenged the ex parte nature of the proceeding, meaning one-sided, deprivation of due process, incorrect application of Article 24.28, and incorrect finding that Mr. Burke's testimony was material and necessary. The court denied the writ on the merits. Again, we're going to talk all about that. But to cap off these bombshell revelations about the David case, Steve
Okay.
actually shared more than 150.
And thank you. I mean, that's gonna happen, Deb, just so you know. I texted you, but that's gonna happen, man. I mean, people right now are going to any little move. So Stefan didn't want to move up to another dorm and he protested, and it wasn't anything with another prisoner, nothing physical. He just didn't want to be moved, and that's gonna happen. He's gonna be, I mean, he's got what? How many life sentences does he have? It's gonna happen. I haven't been paying attention to those things because I'm on other cases, but it's good to hear about. And especially at the 2-year mark where people are talking about Maddie, it's gonna be kicked up. So may Maddie get the justice she deserves by Jen Soto being arrested, please. All right, let's continue.
50 pages from Texas courts laying out what happened. And with that file came a long statement from this private investigator.
Okay.
Quote, Celeste Rivas Hernandez deserves
Thank
better.
you.
It's infuriating that we're approaching 6 months and no charges have been filed in her murder. If the evidence hasn't been secured by now, what exactly is happening? Is this a blown investigation? We now know these monsters sawed off Celeste's arms and legs.
We're going to go a little forward because we already read this. And
Celeste's arms and legs have been sawed off. You came out with that press release knowing what had been done to her? If they do not have enough evidence to charge those responsible, then they need to say that plainly. Admit that after nearly...
I don't think that's the case, so I understand.
And I wish her family would do the same. Here is the full 151-page court filing for anyone willing to read.
And yeah, you guys can go get that yourself. I was going to put it up, but you can just go to like X or Reddit and go to X and type in SF Investigates, and you could download the whole 151-page document and read it. Again, there's a lot of legal jargon. There's some really good information, but it's a lot of legal jargon. And that's what we're going
David Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Well, I'll tell you, we read through it and we're going to go through it. But obviously, he's upset, understandably so. And while we do not know what is going on behind the scenes and whether or not they are about to issue an indictment and whether or not anyone's about to be arrested, you can understand his frustration and how long this is going on. And if it seems that it's just David, they may be going after. But I want to go through these court documents, try to make sense of what we're seeing. So, first, we have this petition on behalf of...
And thank you guys for being here. You guys have been here for over 2 hours. We got another like 20 minutes to break down the documents. And you guys do me a favor, hit that like button. If you hit that like button for me, share it. And if you see my channel and there's an option to hype, please hype the video.
Of DeWood Burke. Again, this is David's father. We've talked about this before. It's an unusual filing. It's a habeas petition. Usually you see habeas petitions when someone's already been convicted, they're in prison, they're trying to say that their detention's unlawful, that there's new evidence that's come out, they're trying to get their conviction thrown out, a new trial. So this one's a little different. But basically the argument is they're saying that the family members' rights are being violated to have to testify, to be compelled, to be transported to another state to provide testimony. And this was filed out in Waller County, Texas. There was an order from January 18th for colleagues.
I just don't like this guy. I do know why, but if I hadn't known what he did and I knew about all his weird little obsessions, I probably wouldn't like him. I just don't like him.
Burke, the mother here, to appear before the Texas court
to
explain why she shouldn't have to appear before the grand jury in LA, why she shouldn't have to comply with the subpoena. You go to page 13. I want to bring your attention to this actual subpoena that was issued to DeWood Burke from Nathan Hockman, signed by Beth.
Okay, at least I knew how to say it. DeWood Burke. I was like, did they spell that wrong? Because the way they do the David, the D4vd, really bothers me. And then now his dad's name is DeWood Burke. At least I pronounce it right.
Silverman, ordering DeWood to appear before the grand jury in LA on February 11th. So you're not even just seeing Steve's interpretation of the filings. You're actually seeing it.
Oh, man.
These are actual court documents. And in this subpoena, it is explained to DeWood that the grand jury is secret. Don't tell anyone about this. I mean, other than your attorney. Page 15, there's a court document. It's from a Judge Craig Richmond, judge of the Superior Court in LA, certifying there is a grand jury proceeding in the...
Thank God. And I went through these documents and I was marking pages, and I'm like, you know what? I don't even know what some of these pages are actually saying, even though I read them. What the hell does that mean? So I'm like, all right, let's go to this. All right, so we're going to hear and see a little better that the judge certifies and what the hell that means, because I don't know.
The case of David Burke, that Beth Silverman is requesting DeWood to appear and provide material and necessary testimony. What could that be? Well, we don't know exactly for sure, though. I'll get a little bit more into it.
I'm sure it's going to be the connection with Celeste Rivas, when they met her, when she was at the house, things like that. I'm sure that they're not going to know details. Do you know if your son was doing drugs on the night of December 25th, whatever? They're not going to know that, but there are going to be big time frames and pictures that they point out and say, is that your son, and do you recognize this girl? Was that girl at your, I mean, those type of things, I'd imagine.
Maybe it's just the family saying, yeah, that was his Tesla. It was registered to him. But again, going back, that DeWood would get round trip airline tickets, transportation. But now I want to get into the document that Steve took a screenshot of. It is a petition for attendance of out-of-state witness. They were filed for Colleen, Caleb, and DeWood, with the main crux of the filings being the same, but there's some slight differences that we'll get into. But this is the real details about the case that we want to get into. Quote, it is alleged in this case that the target may be involved in the death of 14-year-old victim Celeste Rivas Hernandez, who may have been a victim of foul play. Her severely decomposed, dismembered body, there was a mixed reporting on whether it was dismembered body, was found in the front trunk of.
And it is interesting that they lied to us, law enforcement. And again, you got to remember they do that, right? When we're hearing all this stuff about Nancy Guthrie and something gets leaked and the law enforcement says, no, we didn't say that. We didn't say that. Stop that. We're neither confirming or denying. Well, that's why they probably didn't want it out that she was dismembered and which parts, because they didn't want to let information out to people that might not know about it to fill in the blanks for them. You know how that works, right?
Target's Tesla on September 8th, 2025. On September 8th, 2025, at approximately 10:30 hours, Los Angeles Police Department detectives received a phone call from the manager of Hollywood Area Official Police Garage. The manager stated a black Tesla Model X had been impounded as an abandoned vehicle by the Department of Transportation on September 5th, 2025. The manager told police there was a strong smell of decay coming from the vehicle, which was attracting flies. LAPD detectives responded to the Hollywood tow yard to investigate. Detectives approached the vehicle, which was parked on the upper deck of the impound lot, and immediately noticed the smell of decaying biological material consistent with a decomposing corpse coming from the front storage.
And it just gets, I mean, this is just disgusting to think about, but it also hurts your stomach thinking that someone's daughter, right, was in this car, only parts. How long was she decaying for? I mean, what did they do with that? Did they have a funeral? There wasn't all of her. How bad was it? I bet it was bad. When you hear about a decaying corpse with bugs and flies, it's brutal. All right, let's continue. We went over some of this, so I just wanted to hear the legal information and react.
Advised that on August 26, 2025, a citizen reported the above-mentioned Tesla as an abandoned vehicle parked across from 1405 Bluebird Street. On August 27, 2025, Department of Transportation officers responded to Bluebird and marked the vehicle. On September 3rd, 2025, Department of Transportation returned to the vehicle and issued a citation. On September 5th, 2025, Department of Transportation impounded the vehicle to Hollywood Area Tow. It was noted that the Tesla was registered to Target.
That is a great point. Master Death Hancock, great point. Now, TMZ reports working with David's lawyer. Story only changed after David got the lawyer, that she's going across state lines as a minor. They don't want FBI involved in the case, so they're going to lie. Great point. Great point. They do not want FBI involved. And if he's taking her over to Texas and they're crossing state lines as a minor, and she ended up not even alive, but dismembered real bad and decaying, then that makes sense. You don't want the FBI on you.
David Anthony Burke in Hempstead, Texas. David, who was a singer and performing artist, was on tour at the time his vehicle was impounded. And then the next section is different for each witness, so you have differences between affidavits. Seen further down, like Caleb. Detectives learned that Caleb.
No, there was definitely not all of her body in the car. Clark, I think maybe you didn't hear at the beginning, the top bag had her head and her torso. And then once you pick that bag up underneath, had her arms and her legs. So obviously there was portions missing, right? Mama Sage, I couldn't have said it any better, although it's all disturbing. All right, Celeste is already in that trunk when it's reported abandoned late August. So when does she go from August 20 something to being taken to the trunk a few days later? that's not her at Silver Springs. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they've got cameras. Did they catch anything on camera?
Caleb Burke is the younger brother of target David Burke and has a close
Yes.
relationship with him. Detectives learn that Colleen Burke is the mother of target David Burke and has a close relationship with
Yes,
him. Per
I'm
several
still
witnesses,
alive.
she is instrumental to his career success and manages his business finances. Detectives learn that DeWood Burke is the father of target David Burke and has a close relationship with him. And then there's a large chunk of text that is redacted too. Just want to make note of that. From there, we have this application for writ of habeas corpus. So
And I saw that. I'm like, I don't even know what that means. Let's have them break that down for us. All right. And yeah, there are a lot of lookalikes there. And that's why I haven't been following all of that, because, you got people that really know the case and say, hey, July 31st, someone had moved the car, and how can she be at a concert while they're moving the car if her body's there? Makes no sense. She looks alike. Yeah, there's a lot of those. And Soho, yes, we're still live. State lines are the least of his problems if he took her out of the country to Paris. All right, let's continue. I don't know if that's the least of his worries, because right now they're speculating before the grand jury that they were only going to charge him with like desecration of a body and not even get to the capital M charge.
is DeWood, and maybe everybody else here, the other family members, never saw the full documents that would justify them going to LA to have to testify, that there's not enough to justify them going there. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole legal argument, but you get the main idea that no one should be confined or restrained, especially imprisoned, if they don't comply with a subpoena unless they have meaningful notice, a meaningful understanding of what all this is about. But later on, you'll see there was an order by the court where that writ of habeas corpus was denied. Now, there's more, but those are some of the pertinent parts we have so far up to page 50. We go further into this filing. There's a section in this filing called transcripts and exhibits. This is important. I want to talk about
This is ridiculous. The whole relationship is ridiculous. The jab, they're young adults, only in their only in their minds, sex, drugs, alcohol, and showing off, and no kind of, obviously, supervision from anyone. All right. This is, I mean, you just can't get much crazier than this. And if David didn't have a ton of money, would he have already been arrested? Probably.
And it contains the petitions to appear again, as well as transcripts from multiple hearings. So the first hearing was in Waller County, Texas on January 23rd, 2026. And this one only concerned Colleen and Caleb. They were there, not DeWood for some reason. Plus, you had two LAPD homicide detectives who could testify if it was needed. Mia Magnus represented Texas as well as California, basically by proxy. She told the court, quote, "So Judge, I'm stepping into this last minute as well, but my understanding is that there is a grand jury investigation that is being conducted in California and Los Angeles County. These two individuals have been summoned to appear for purposes of the grand jury presentation. The prosecutors in Los Angeles have executed all the paperwork that is necessary. It has gone before, I believe they call them, the Superior Court judge there, who has signed off and done all the necessary certifications. And so under Texas law, Code of Criminal Procedure, Article 24.28, which is the Uniform Act to secure attendance of witnesses from without the state, are now before you for the court to make a determination that California has complied with the rules that would authorize a Texas court, you being a district court judge, to review the paperwork and then order that these witnesses appear before."
And guys, they tried to get out of it, but the parents, they put in their petition and the judge denied it. All right. So, I mean, this is, we're going to hear this really soon, that an arrest has been made or two, but at least they need to detain David. All right. I think these, again, they're adults, technically, not Celeste. Celeste was a child, but they have to have felt like this was a fantasy thing. They fantasized about it and they acted it out. I don't think they could have imagined what the repercussions of something like this. This 20-year-old guy has the world in the palm of his hands, a $20,000 or $20,000 a month house he's renting, flying all over the world, and he does this. That's what he wants to do. What? All right, I just don't get it.
The grand jury in California. Then you had Kent Schaefer, who represents David's mother, had this to say, quote, "So on behalf of Colleen Burke, our position is that the request or the summons and the request for issuance of the subpoena is unconstitutional in violation of the Texas and the United States constitutions, in that it denies the witness, Colleen Burke, notice and due process, in as much as Article 24.28 Section B, which governs, says that the court has to make a determination that the witness is material and necessary, and that it will not cause undue hardship to be compelled to attend and testify. All we have been served with so far is a notice to appear here today. So it is virtually impossible for us to address materiality and necessity when we don't even know what the subject matter is that would be explored with our client. But Magnus argued that the determination about materiality of these witnesses, that was already made by a California judge. So all the Texas judge needs to do was just make sure the paperwork was all in order, tell the witnesses they need to go. And the judge says that actually, since this was so last minute, he doesn't even have any of that paperwork. So they end up deciding to reschedule the hearing for several days later. And at that February 2nd hearing in Texas, you have Colleen, Caleb, and DeWood. They were all there with counsel. Bennett Dodson.
Again, that's the parents, but I wanted to thank you for posing that question, Sander, because here's the thing. Celeste Rivas was allegedly missing for about 17 months before she was found no longer alive and dismembered. On April 5th of 2024, Celeste was only 13 years old. She was reported missing at 13 years old. Then September 8th, 2025, her remains were found in the Tesla in the tow yard. All right. That span from early April 24 to September 25 is approximately a year and 5 months, or about 520 days. All right. She had been reported missing multiple times in 2024, but the final disappearance was on April 5th of 2024. Her body had not been identified until the discovery in September of 2025. So where was she while she was missing? Was she dead the whole time? Were they hiding her out? How did they keep her body? Remember about the cold? That's how you know that they probably had her in a fridge or a freezer, because that's a long time.
Is the assistant DA of Waller County told the court, I don't think it's a secret to anyone at this point that Mr. David Burke is a musician who's quite famous, and this matter concerns a car that was registered to him at these witnesses' address here in Houston that had a dismembered, decomposing body in it. I would say if a car with a dismembered, decomposing body is registered to your home address, that is something you should expect to be questioned by the authorities about, and that's what this is, Judge. So there you go. That's probably what they'd be forced to testify about. But the attorneys for David's family members argue that everyone involved in both California and Texas courts, the judges, the prosecutors, they had seen the unredacted affidavit. But their clients, they only got the redacted version. So it's limited. And they want to know what's in that. They want to know what's in that big blacked out section of the petitions. And again, goes back to the legal argument. Hey, we have a right to know what this is all about under habeas before relinquishing our freedom, right, to go and have to testify. So you had Dodson say that most of that information in the affidavit's not a secret. It's already known to the public, saying, quote, it's all over TMZ. Goes on.
I mean, this is just, I'm looking at these dates, and yeah, I mean, the jab. So you say when I was in school, 6th grade was still elementary. Me too, right? 7th and 8th was middle school. But think about this. I was saying Celeste Rivas probably met him when she was 12, 13. And I correct myself. She was 11, 12, 13, and died at 14. I have an 11-year-old daughter. And any of you people that have 11, 12, 13, 14-year-olds, put that into perspective, what's going on in this case and the age. It's so young. She's so young for nobody to be looking out for her but her.
To say the redacted information concerns knowledge that is only known to the grand jury, period. It has not been distributed anywhere. What was the judge's decision?
I agree.
Here's from the court, quote, but even when I look at it myself, I still think these witnesses are material and necessary because of the relationship that's involved with the witnesses and the defendant. Yep. So my ruling is going to be that they are to go to California and honor the subpoena by California. And the judge read out an official summons to Colleen, DeWood, Caleb, with Caleb scheduled to appear before the grand jury on February 10th, DeWood, Colleen, February 11th, with LA prosecutors paying for the round-trip airline tickets and transportation to and from court for all three. There you go. Some new information.
So Celeste was being groomed prior to this. So my little stars, I'm going to trust your skills, your sleuthing skills. You seem super intertwined in this case. You say Celeste was 10 years old with a 20-year-old grown adult, Gustavo Morales, as she admitted in text messages. Yeah, I mean, they were just using and abusing her, in my opinion. That's all I could say. What's up, Winter Snow Cloud? Hey there, I see your comments a lot on Zavgirl's channel. Cool to see you're so passionate. Really hope she's getting justice. My little stars. All right, let's go. Yeah, Zavgirl has been covering this, I think, on Patreon, right?
Seemingly some confirmations of material that we haven't had in quite some time. Obviously, we will stay on this case as we learn more. That's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar, everybody. Thank you so much for joining.
All right, we made it through, guys, and thank you, my little stars, Flojo TV, PNO, Deb, Clore, all the people in chat that contributed today. Let's remember what we're here for. We're here to see that David gets arrested and that Celeste gets the justice she deserves. All right, she didn't get justice in life, in my opinion. She was way too young to even be making those kind of decisions with grown ass men. My little star says, since I don't have a channel, but I mod for Flojo. Okay, awesome. That way we can get in touch. I think you have my email. Maybe we can go back and forth. I appreciate that, Flojo. Flojo says we love your channel. Well, thank you. I really do appreciate it. It means a lot. And I will definitely go check yours out. Hopefully I'll catch you on live, but I promise to go rewatch and check out your content. All right, guys. I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you so much. Moore says, I'm still here. I'm also playing a game. Mom says her parents need to be held accountable as well for letting her go with anyone. She's just a little girl. Absolutely. Jay, whatever scoop you need on this, please reach out. Definitely. I got your email now and you got mine and vice versa. All right. If you see anything I'm covering or any of my coverage, you're welcome to it. All right. Thank you. I appreciate that. You guys, it's all love here. I love the YouTubers that realize it's better to work together instead of against each other. Not a good move. All right, guys. You guys, thank you so much for being here. I will be back tomorrow, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. See you guys tomorrow, 4 o'clock on the dot, 7 o'clock Eastern. Thank you guys. Love you. Yes, Cheeky. I'm going to put that out. Justice for Celeste. Until next time, we'll be back on this case when there's some new updates. And I'll see you tomorrow. We'll see what's breaking. Good night. Love you guys. Appreciate every single one of you. Hit that like button, subscribe, and make sure to hype the video. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful night.
Guilty of crime.
I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my content, please share this video, like, and subscribe. You can also follow me over at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, or Gmail. If you'd like to donate to my channel, you can use Cash App or Venmo or PayPal. Thank you very much in advance. Guilty of crime.
Are you guilty?